Good afternoon, good evening, and good day to everybody. Also, good morning to the West Coast folks. Having a little bit of a slow start right now because the lights aren't turning on for some reason, and we'll fix that in just a moment. Also, yes, this is Casey here today, and Motoko is apparently wanting to be part of the broadcast. Say hi, Motoko. How's everybody this morning? How are you? Say hi. Okay, let's get started. What do you want, milk? Okay, here. While I do that, I've actually already equipped up something a bit newsworthy. That was really cool. Let me show chat and double check that you guys are actually getting a decent feed here on YouTube. Kind of an interesting weekend so far. The weather reports were completely wrong, and well, that is to be expected. Oh, there's a duplicate of this stream that's not actually streaming. Let's delete that. Actions. Delete forever. I understand deleting is permanent. It cannot be undone. There we go. And now my camera is all stuttery. So let's reboot the camera. All right, that is clearer on my end. Okay, perfect. Good morning, Robert William, or good evening to you, rather. Good evening. Hello. And so the first item is kind of fun for me because I did not expect these results. Also, let me just turn on the lights with the phone because PCs be tripping, yo. There's spin up, spin up. Now the phone is tripping. Eventually, all of this will be solar. We've got some stuff working right now. All right, so while I wait for the phone to find the lights, let's move on and start with the first article. All right, so also happy Canada Day to you folks in Canada. Happy 4th of July to my countrymen. What do you mean, no accessories found? Hmm. Well, see, I felt the light. Yeah, let's try the other one. It's computerized age where you're rebooting lights. Oh, that one is loose. I'll have to tighten up the nuts on it. So you see one light? Show me another light. I don't know what could have happened where they lost connection because we've been up. All right, so let's start with one light and we'll wait for the other one to show up. I'll have just shadows over here. All right, so Tesla has announced that they had a record June, despite all the problems that we expected to see from quarter two because of the Chinese um, factory shutting down for COVID. There's the other one. Oh, and now the computer sees them too. That would be a much nicer error than just a red dot. Oh, so let's take a look and see what they say. All right, so this is coming from Austin because they moved their headquarters. Uh, see, they produced over 258,000 vehicles and delivered 254,000 vehicles, despite ongoing supply chain challenges and factory shutdowns beyond our control. June 2022 was the highest vehicle production month in Tesla's history, like ever. I wonder if they break out June. I really doubt it because this is Tesla we're talking about. So let's see, we had 16,000 S and X's built and delivered. 300 more were built than delivered. So they're finally starting to track this in a way that makes sense because a lot of times you'll see them deliver more than they made. It's like, where are you finding all these extra cars month after month? um, just like Model 3 and Y right here. Oh, no, that's not. This is a different hundreds number. Okay, so 242 169 built with 238,533 delivered. But oftentimes you'll see this number literally be higher than that number. Let's see, only 3% of the people leased the 3 and the Y. And any Tesla lease now that wasn't before they made the change you have to turn it back in. You don't have an option to buy the car. You still have the option to extend your lease for, like waiting on your new car to show up or something, but you don't have the option to buy the car outright. And I don't think that you can even trade them into third-party dealers anymore either. That used to be an option for sure. All right, so Model S and X, they saw 12% of their customers do that. And then we're going to have a stock call on July 20th after the market closes at, oh yeah, they're Central Time now. It's a little easier to do the math, just 1 hour off instead of 3. So 4:30 Central Time because they report the time local to themselves. All right, and it's telling us what they're going to have on the call. That's fine. Nothing else in this message. All right, I don't have the switch tab button. That's fine. I was really hoping they'd bring it back because I had a browser update right before all this. All right, we're going to paste and go. And I think there was only one Reddit post I wanted to share with this. Here we go. This is key. It means Shanghai's already ramped back up to a little more or a little less than its all-time high production rate. After this dip, the market is so wrong about Tesla's outlook. It will be one of the best opportunities to buy Tesla stock in recent times before Q3 and Q4 shatter records. Again, this is not a stock advice. Speak with your own advisors. But this person does have a point. People have underestimated what the company can do. Constantly talking about, oh, they're not an established automaker. Established automakers, when they actually get serious about this, can come in and blow them out of the water. Blah blah blah. It's not happening. Look at these numbers compared with everyone else's except the Wulong Hong Kong Mini's numbers, and nobody's touching it. And that's not really something I would call a car outside of China. I mean, it might work where they sell it, but it wouldn't work worldwide. Not as a Tesla competitor. So let's see. Losing 100,000 shares. Okay, so let's move on to the next couple articles. Coming up from Drive Tesla Canada. I guess I can click a couple of them, get them ready. Even though I can't switch tabs to them, I can at least have them on deck for you. Especially since a couple of them are from private Facebook groups, so I need to go to what they're talking about and not share the screen. Anyway, so Volkswagen starts the ID4 production, and they lose 2 executives. So let's see what they say here. So the ID4 is being built in the U.S. It's been sold in the U.S. for a while now, but they're going to lose 2 executives. The VP of e-mobility, now he's the head of hardware at Neuro, an autonomous delivery startup. Interesting. And also Dustin Kraus, formerly director of e-mobility. So I guess e-mobility is not doing what these folks want to do, or it's being merged into something else. Both men are Tesla alumni and helped launch the Model 3. They switched to Volkswagen in 2018 as the company prepared to launch the ID4 in the EU last year, or in the US last year. The U. Not the best time for Volkswagen to lose its top employees. The auto giant assembled the first ID4 to leave the factory's body shop at the recently expanded Chattanooga site. So congrats to Volkswagen there, and I see ID4s all the time on the road here, and they are kind of cool to see. I call them the Camrys of the EV world because they're inoffensive, they're not performance monsters, they're not super expensive, they're just very average all the way down. And I still say this despite the fact that the VZ4X exists, because that thing is not attractive. It's the Volkswagen is doing a better job of actually making the sales and having that middling performance than Toyota is. But the BZ will make a further appearance later in the show. All right, so the next one is not necessarily good for those of us that are Starlink customers. who knows? Some of these bits may be coming to you from Starlink because my internet is not the most stable, and so sometimes it'll switch to Starlink. If I start stuttering, we'll know for sure, but because I still have interference problems with my Starlink because it's on the ground and it's covered by trees. Oh, hey camera, here I am. There we are. So even though it doesn't track anymore because I mounted it upside down, it still does have the quick autofocus, which I like that. Even though it doesn't know what I'm doing, it knows how to handle that. So Amazon has sent a letter to the FCC complaining about the size of Starlink's next generation satellite constellation, and I don't understand the Bezos companies and all their whining. If you have a problem with it, get your stuff out there and then start complaining. Right now, you're complaining about theoreticals. Your rocket doesn't have an engine. You your other rocket doesn't leave orbit. Um, your satellite constellation is very likely going to be launching on other people's rockets, and it doesn't even exist yet. So put up or shut up, Amazon and Bezos. So they're facing significant resistance over their second gen satellite constellation, coming from Amazon, of course. Let's see. Uh, in the letter, Amazon says granting a small subset of its nearly 30,000 satellite system would offer SpaceX a path to begin deploying while also providing the Commission with time to carefully address issues raised with its larger constellation. No, they already got approval to launch the whole constellation, and if they don't do it on time, then they're stuck with what they actually get up there. So pray I don't alter the deal further. No, if they don't make it, they don't make it. If they do make it, they've already been approved. There's no need to go around changing it up again. So let's see what else they lie about here. The letter does note that Amazon is not seeking the FCC to deny SpaceX's network. Just slow it down a little bit. We don't want you to cancel it. Just slow it down. It only asks for reasonable and targeted conditions designed to ensure that SpaceX's nearly 30,000 satellites do not unduly interfere with Amazon's planned deployment or foreclose future NGSO FSS systems from deploying. Um, no, no. It's not easy to get these approvals. They don't just say, "Hey, we want to launch 50,000 satellites. Is that okay?" And then the FCC says, "Oh, yes, that's great." No, there's a process. They've done the planning, and just because you're late doesn't mean that you can use regulatory bodies to make up for your failing to compete. Uh, put up or shut up. All right, I'm covering the chat. Hey, good evening, Anders. Robert Williams says 4G. Yeah, 5G actually will come up with Starlink later in the show as well. And Wi-Fi 2 megs. Oh, you're on 4G and you're getting Wi-Fi at 2 megs. That's kind of low because you guys have some good internet over there. Look at this. I got a sandwich. It is, other than this American cheese, it is a vegan um, club, a vegan club sandwich. Looks like it was difficult to make. I guess not entirely vegan because the bread is made with milk and eggs. So vegetarian for sure, but partially vegan. We'll bite into that later. My sugar was on the drop before we started the show. All right. We don't have another bottle for Motoko though. She's gonna wake up screaming for milk. All right. So Amazon's not alone in their concerns over SpaceX's second gen array. Multiple companies, including NASA, have submitted concerns to the FCC. Has NASA submitted new concerns to the FCC? Is my question here, because NASA's known about this for just as long as a fellow government organization there. SpaceX has not yet commented on the letter. However, the aerospace company hopes to launch its next gen of Starlink with the new Starship craft once they receive all necessary approvals. I'm wondering if the demo flight will be able to launch some Starlinks, because they've got one of the vehicles with the door almost finished. I'm curious if that will be ready in time, or if they're just going to do the demo flight and then as soon as they can do their next one, they're going to put it to work. Either way, that'll be interesting. Robert says, "Yum." I don't know. Motoko getting a bottle? She says no. All right, this is gonna be fun if she wakes up early. All right, any comments on this? Elon sells tequila. Jeff sells just his wine. I like it, Robert. All right, so that's the same article. All right, we got several recalls this week, which, what am I, the recall show? Either way, let's take a look and see what's going on now. This is coming from Reuters, and they say that Ford recalls 2,900 EV F-150 Lightning pickup trucks. I think you can just say F-150 Lightnings, or even just Lightnings. They're all EVs. Let's see. As of June 27th, Ford says it will recall 2,900 Lightning trucks because a software issue may result in failure to provide adequate warning of low tire pressure. That is bad, especially for towing. Um, I would say until they fix your software, go out and check each tire before each trip. And then if you're hauling, then maybe at each charging stop as well. But what's interesting here is that in some states, Ford is not allowed to push out a software update directly to your truck because that's considered a repair. And in those states, repairs are handled by dealers. So you would have to take your truck in and get it done. However, in our private chats, Omar brought up a good point. He said that perhaps Ford could release the software to everybody, and then in those states where it's a requirement, they could release it to your dealer, and then the dealer could push a button next to your VIN number, and then they could deploy it to your car, even though it's still coming over Ford's network. And then your dealer did it, and then I guess that Ford would pay them for pushing the OK button. That would get around the issue for sure. And it is totally asinine that such a thing is even necessary. Our system is broken, and that should not be a requirement. Oh, I also have to wish one of my dealer friends a happy birthday. Happy birthday to John Jones. In fact, I should send him a message after this. Like I said, not all dealers are greedy, unscrupulous, whatever's, but there are enough of them out there to earn the reputation and the stereotype, and even the good ones, the negotiations. If you don't want to just accept what they write on there, can be a stressful event, especially if you have something else in mind than what they do. Like, 'cause a lot of them are willing to negotiate, but then some people want to push it. Former salesman here. All just full disclosure. All right, so this recall covers 2666 vehicles in the U.S. and 220 in Canada. There are no accidents or injuries connected to the recall. Yes, because the new cars should be shipped with proper tire inflation, and unless you let some air out yourself, or you get a puncture or total tire failure, the air is only going to stick in there for a couple months. So, as I said, just manually check your tires, and the update will probably be in before the temperature changes that would normally affect the tire inflation pressure hit. Um, Even if you have to take it to the store to get them to plug in a USB stick, which is just. uh, Robert says it's also Tom Cruise's birthday. Well, happy birthday to you too. What do you guys think? What is this like? How would you feel about having to take your vehicle in for something that can be done in your driveway? And I don't mean like Ranger service like Tesla and Aptera and Rivian offer. I think Lucid does too. But I mean like literally for a software update. Uh, I don't. It would annoy me, especially since the nearest store for me is like a 45-minute each way drive before traffic. Plus, you gotta pay that stupid $2 toll. Ugh. Like literally, you get on the road and then get off the road, and because you got on, um, like it's you don't even really get up to speed. You get on and then veer all the way over to the exit and then get off. Otherwise, you add 20 minutes to your journey to go around the toll road. Uh, so it's changed articles. Let's see what this is. Let's see a little Cadillac there. GM outsells Toyota in quarter two as inventory shortages linger. Interesting. Moving on. Polluting the air we breathe. The mechanic's sentenced for selling thousands of. Okay, go away. Selling thousands of devices that allowed trucks to bypass emissions controls. Robert says it is like me having to take my computer to the shop tomorrow to get the software. Yeah, I mean, I understand like if it's like the software to control the computer, although some Windows devices and all new Macs, um, if they completely die out, you just push a key um, during boot up, and then you can download the OS from Microsoft or Apple. But I can understand like if the stuff to control the uh, the download of the OS are missing, then that might require you to come in. But if your working computer is fine, and then all of a sudden Apple or Microsoft releases a patch, then you got to bring it in for that. Uh, I remember back in the days of dial-up, I had a Windows 98 computer, and Windows 98 SE came out, and it's $20 to get them to mail you a CD to update to the SE version. Uh, that was that was a different edition, and I didn't have to bring it in. I just had to get the bits sent to me, which was fine. All right, so yeah, so maybe this will help out with the coal rolling. He made $10 million to sell the device for selling the devices, which made the truck produce hundreds of times more pollution. The prosecutor said. Wait until you hear how they punish the fool. North Carolina truck mechanic was sentenced to 1 year in prison for selling thousands of devices that allow truck owners to bypass the emission control systems. This probably hurt more people than 1 year's worth of time. I'm not saying put him in jail for life, but like give him more than his $1.3 million fine since he what did they say he made? How many million in where'd he go? Since he made 10 million illegal dollars, you're only going to fine him 1.3 million and an additional 1.2 million in back taxes and penalties. Could be way higher than that. Maybe give him 5 years. That seems reasonable. Combined with forfeiting all the fraud money. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I think that they let him off with almost a slap on the wrist, considering what we're dealing with right now with pollution. Of course, um, that's not to say that the EPA will be allowed to operate for much longer, given the rulings coming out of our court here. Let's see, because they weren't spelled out specifically in the Constitution. No, it's not that literally. Like literally, there has to be a law that says that EPA is allowed to do X, Y, and Z, and if they do something that fulfills Y without, let's call it gamma. If they do gamma and it fulfills Y, but weren't explicitly authorized to do gamma, they can't do it. Which is our country is in an interesting place right now. Anyway, this guy should have more punishment, and let's see what these people say about him. Yeah, yeah. I only think his sentence was too light. He made 10 million, but was fined 1.3 million plus ordered to pay his back taxes. Something tells me his profit alone was over 1.3 million. I agree. Can I like this without joining? Nope. I don't want to download an app. Okay, go back to the comments. It is good. So Rex has another point. So he netted 7.5 million for 1 year in jail, of which he'll probably not spend half of it. Really sends the message that you shouldn't try to cheat the system. It does see that way, yeah. Well, 10 million worth and fined a total of 6.5 million since 2017. Where does he get the 6.5? Where does it say that? Is it in another article? Either way, he agrees the penalties are too light. So, okay. Marginal cost of software is close to zero. Yes, but to defeat these trucks, unless you're hacking them in your show to that crime pays. Yeah, so it looks like. Mechanic receives a 1-year sentence and fine, while nobody from BP goes to jail for Deepwater Horizon. Yes, results in 11 dead and the worst environmental disaster in history of the U.S. Just saying. Another good point. Lou says, did they intentionally blow up Deepwater Horizon? You could say they did by planning to failing to plan, but no, they didn't go out and say, "Hey, let's do death and destruction." This guy was literally saying, "Let's break the law." Especially when you look at the way they sell these things, like, "Oh, only for off-road use," blah blah blah, and they know that their customers are going to use it on the street. Dan says, "Hey," and Lee says, "Happy Sunday." Okay, this is an article coming from the one I call the other Omar and Bloomberg. To use the they because it's not just that person on the account. Um, Tesla lays off 57% of the data labeling team in Silicon Valley. Auto labeling allows them to do much more with less. We saw the writing on the wall for this at the interview that Elon did with Tesla owners Silicon Valley in their show. I didn't think it would be so swift, but you could tell that Elon wasn't happy with the way that some of the labeling was getting done. He blamed inconsistency in the labeling on why sometimes the card wanted jump because it thinks, say, the line and move way over here in some cases. So let's see what they say here. Tesla laid off hundreds of workers of its autopilot team as the automaker shuttered California facility, according to people familiar with the matter. It's part of the 10% layoff that Elon promised us, basically. Affected employees were notified on Tuesday, according to people who had asked not to be identified, discussing private information. Yeah, absolutely not. You don't. You just survived a night of the long knives, and you want to go talking to the press. Teams at the San Mateo office were tasked with evaluating customer vehicle data related to autopilot driver assistance features and performing so-called data labeling. I don't know why so-called. I mean, it's a legitimate industry term. Anyway, about 200 workers were let go, according to one of the people. Many of the staff were data annotation specialists. The office had about 350 employees, some of whom were transferred to a nearby facility. So while the machine is training itself, you do need somebody to sanity check the machine, and you do still need to do some manual inputs. And so apparently these were the best of the people who remain right there. I like these right here. Tesla didn't immediately respond for requests for comment. They never will. They don't have a PR team anymore. Elon was off Twitter for 10 days, so good luck. You okay? You just snorted there. You have a bad dream? It's okay. Yeah, there you go. All right, so where were we? The cuts are part of an effort to trim the ranks of salaried off staffers as Tesla pulls back from a surge in hiring in recent years. Blah blah blah. Austin has grown to 100,000 employees globally. Elon basically said if you're producing, you should generally be safe. Musk caught workers by surprise earlier this month when he said layoffs would be necessary in an increasingly shaky economic environment, and clarified an interview with Bloomberg about 10% salaried employees would lose their jobs over the next 3 months. I think that's all right. So that's all stuff we've already discussed. They point out that auto labeling is separate from Dojo. Yes, it is. Also note that Tesla had over 1,000 labelers a year ago. Okay, so they've been steadily reducing this team as it is. Assuming they haven't grown further than that, they probably have. That's only about 20% of the labelers. Uh, noted that over time, data labeling. Okay, so if his math is right, then that would be just one 2/3 of the one facility, not 2/3 of the labelers. I know it is sad because these people have livelihoods and now they got to find new jobs. Yeah, but they're skilled workers. They'll find new jobs. So it's a labor market right now. That's why people are complaining. They're like, "Hey, I can't find people to work for me." Problem solved. They'll find somebody else to work for. Yeah. He had the picture of the Pope with the three of his sons and his daughter there. Um, that was pretty cool. All right, so actually they have 1,500 labelers at last count, so 13%, just roughly in line with the 10% reduction in salaried headcount. There you go. So it allows them to close the facility and um, takes care of a good portion of their 10% promise. Well, Elon's 10% promise. All right, no further revelations coming from that. Let's move on to the next one. Before I close this article, let me make sure it's a different one. It's the same one. Okay. So this one is pretty cool to me. We may have discussed it last week, but I don't remember. Don't think so because it's dated June 29th. So Tesla Semi has delivered a prefabricated supercharger to Laguna Seca. No, that was a different one we're thinking of. The largest prefabricated supercharger site deployment. That's what we did last week. But this one is the Tesla Semi doing real work again. It's very rare that we actually see it out doing Tesla work. And this is probably another photo op, but why not? All right, so let's see. Tesla's been testing the Semi over the last few weeks extensively. Yes, they have. Been seen all over the road. We talked about that. We showed a couple tweets and TikToks and Facebook. Um, let's see. In all of those, the Semi was not hauling a trailer or any cargo. Yep. It's been a long time since we've seen it doing real work. I think the last time that it wasn't doing load testing was when they did the photo op for a quarterly delivery push. They put the Semi out with a car carrier that didn't go over where the fairing is. So it couldn't haul as many cars because it had a smaller trailer. Let's see. Over the weekend, the Semi was spotted at WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. Uh, Making the sighting unusual is the Semi was carrying 2 sets of prefabricated superchargers that are going to be installed at the track. Awesome. So that means up to 8. Is it really 8 is the question, but up to 8. Update. The official Tesla charging Twitter account has now shared a video of the Tesla Semi delivering superchargers. Hopefully without music. They usually don't have music, but they could. And of course they did. So there we go. You see it delivering the superchargers. Just dropping them in, then you wire them up. All right, that was a shorter video than I anticipated. So if the Semi left the factory loaded with superchargers, the trip would have covered roughly 84 miles along 101, giving Tesla plenty of data about how the truck performed with some cargo. I'm sure they have plenty of that, because by virtue of it not being a combustion vehicle, you can test it anywhere. The moon. Although this vehicle will probably not work well on the moon because it's it's engineered for running in an atmosphere. The tires for one, the cooling system for the other, and the heating system. I say that slightly in jest, but as we discussed previously, the moon buggies were EVs made by GM. on the moon. What's up, Timothy? Greetings, everyone. All right, so after several delays, Tesla is planning on bringing the Semi to production next year, along with the Roadster and Cybertruck. I don't think the Roadster comes next year. I do see Cybertruck and Semi-Truck coming next year, though. Uh, the automaker started limited production of some test units at Giga Nevada last year, which were expected to be delivered to PepsiCo. Those plans changed, however, as those units are the ones that we have seen being tested in recent weeks. Tesla is currently building additional units for PepsiCo, also at Giga Nevada. And then, as we saw last week, or the week before last, actually, um, well, yeah, both weeks, we saw the connector that Tesla is using on the Semi and its replacement, the MCS3. But Tesla is using currently the MCS2 connector, or at least a draft version of it. Hmm. No comments on this one. Okay, that's fine. This one was a fun one that kind of overlapped with the story we had out of the Tesla Live show. He says, "Hi, and delivering Pepsi is okay, but beer would have been better." I think that would have been cool. That would have been really cool. All right, so, oh, but remember though, it's not even going to be delivering any beverage. It's going to be delivering potato chips because it's going to the Frito-Lay facilities first, or at least the chargers will be there. Doesn't mean they can't do beverages, but it'd be more logistics to get that done. So Tesla's delivered the first Model Y long-range vehicles built at Giga, Texas, and it says it's an update. Let's see what's new. Let's see. The difference here is that they've been delivering the standard range or standard range plus, I don't remember which, out of Giga, Texas with the 4680 cells. But what we don't know on this one is whether they're 2170 cells, because at the time the interview was recorded and enough time has been passed that Elon was waiting on, Elon and Tesla were waiting on parts from China so they could install the line for Giga Texas to make the 2170 vehicles as well, and that really stunted their product ramp for all of Model Y out of Giga Texas. There was speculation that these are 2170 batteries, but built in Texas. Not batteries, but the whole car, because Texas is only building 4680s as batteries. All right, so let's see. So last week we reported about customers receiving VINs unexpectedly, and then the VINs had A in them for Austin. So Rick took delivery of his midnight silver Model Y in Austin at the Tesla Palm Springs earlier this morning. He tells us the build quality was perfect and there were no issues to be corrected. Like the Model Y standard range with 4680s, what we thought was the only variant being produced at Giga Texas. The long range also includes the parcel shelf and updated interior features. Hey, look at that. Okay. Well, I guess once the floor and seats are in, they're essentially the same vehicle. Rick also shared us an image of his software screen showing the Model Y is a long-range dual-motor variant, and his VIN has the A in the 11th position. His car was delivered with the latest 2022.16.2 software, and he has 30-day premium connectivity trial subscription. So there we can see his VIN number with the A. We can see his software version right there. 7th Century Motor Events. Another one of our readers, Michael, is currently taking delivery at the time of publication, also at Palm Springs. Will be sending us photos of his vehicle shortly. According to Michael's delivery advisor, his car does not have 4680 cells and still has a standard 2170 cells. We'll update this article once we receive more from Michael. All right, here we go from Michael. Here's some more pictures. He tells us the build quality on his black Model Y was very good, and the car was built this month. And we received some questions about his order dates. Rick says he ordered on October 24th, and Michael placed his order on October 20th, 2021. Man. Mine, I put the order in like February or whenever it was like the end of free supercharging for life and the end of free connectivity for life and the end of Obsidian Black. Uh, and right before the price is only ever going to increase on FSD before it dropped, we put our order in then. So, and then it was finished construction in August. and we picked it up in September after it did the tour of Louisiana for the hurricane. We did a tour of Florida for the same hurricane because the hurricane was hitting South Carolina. It turned out to not be a bad deal, but I'm of the better safe than sorry. I don't tend to sit them out unless it's like a category 1 I might sit through, but if it's any chance it's going to be higher, we're gone. Let's see. Some more pictures of the car. Let's see if there's any comments on it. Range, pack size. Those are good questions. I doubt we'll get the answers to them. All right, let me go back into the notes. Let me move them down so I can tag them with the mouse. So I have to use the what do they call their bar down here, the spotlight bar. What would be the start menu on Windows? The taskbar, I should say. Okay, so we made it here. Open up these next. And we'll start with this article here from the Yahoo. Not a person, the Yahoo, but the Yahoo, like the internet. Oh no, my sandwich is sliding off the back. So an Uber driver says she has ditched her Toyota for Tesla because her Camry was costing her $600 a week to fuel, compared with $450 for leasing and charging a Model 3. So I'm curious if this is a Hertz lease with the Hertz Tesla program, or if this is she actually went out and leased a Tesla from Tesla. But this disparity is only going to get larger as the fuel prices continue to stay high, and it's a sensible move. And I'm sure that it's actually a better experience as a driver. I remember I did drive my Model S Uber several nights a week, and there's less vibration, there's less noise. It's pretty much always ready, and then whenever you're just sitting still waiting, it's not burning through as much of your fuel as those other cars do. Just heard about this in the EV rideshare group, Dan says. Indeed. So let's see. She told Bloomberg she pays $450 a week to lease and charge the Model 3. She switched to Tesla because of the fuel prices, and that's just the fuel. Don't forget maintenance and everything. Average price of gasoline surged above $5 in June. They repeat this part like several times. All right, so let's see. Once charging costs were added to the $344 a week lease deal, representing $150 a week savings on the fuel cost alone. Okay, and then they talk about how fuel costs have been going up. Uber drivers who have completed more than 150 trips Uber drivers who have completed more than 150 trips and have a rating of at least 4.7 out of 5 can lease a Tesla for $334 a week, including insurance, maintenance, and unlimited miles. I've got that on my Uber account. I might be able to lease a Model Y. I don't feel like doing rideshare around here. The average price Americans paid for EVs surged 22% in the year to May. And somebody said in one of the comments that this part was an unnecessary statement because all cars have surged with the supply crunch. The rising cost of raw materials needed to make the batteries. Americans paid on average $54,000 for an EV in May, compared with $44,000 a year before, and same thing with gas cars. The only problem with that 600 a week is implies 3,200 miles driven a week. Working 5 days a week, she would need to charge at least twice a day, and would lose at least 2 hours revenue generating. No, if you charge twice a day, you might lose some of that time. It wouldn't be 2 hours. You start every day full, assuming that she's got charging at home. It's your boy Leo. What's up? And Robert says that it's 13 pounds for 1 gallon now. Oh my goodness. Hope all is well. Yeah, everything's doing pretty well with us. Hope it's well with you as well. Let's see. Your cogent reply, based on simple math, brings into question the validity of the story. I sometimes get the impression that many of these personal tales are a little more than fiction. Yeah, but you're forgetting that this guy isn't using real math. He assumes that she has to charge outside the home twice a day. I mean, you sleep, and if you plug into 110, you're getting at least 40 miles a night while you sleep. And if you have something faster than that, like say you have another EV or you've got a high voltage hookup in your garage, car will be ready at 90% for you in the morning. And if it's a iron phosphate battery, then you could be at 100%. Moving on. Robert says, "Oh, good to hear. I'm glad you're good." Uh, Robert says his neighbor does Uber Eats and as a taxi. I mean, it's a solid way to make money. I just did it for supplemental income because it could not replace my day job with the way that they were doing the raids. I knew some people who did, and I missed that portion of it. So then, Motor Trend has an article. We'll kind of skim it, and then I'll put the link in the chat. They ask how far can you tow with an electric truck? We put 9,000 pounds on the hitch of an Rivian R1T for more than 450 miles to find out how towing affects range. But they didn't just do an R1T. They also did an F-150. Wait, pause this. It's making my scrolling stutter for some reason. It's a very inefficient page they've got here. More than 100 years of gas and towing on the books, blah, blah, blah. So the Rivian was towing this Aerostar. Yeah, Aerostar, because the Windstar was the one with the snub nose. And truck and a trailer, test run. Is this not the one with the Ford in it? Easing in. The big tow tests. We felt comfortable cruising in 65 to 75 mile range. So if you're doing that, that's not a practical tow test because you should be going slower. In many places, it's not legal to go that fast while towing. And I don't mean like speeding kind of legal. It's like a whole nother regulation. And in other countries, they're even more strict about how fast you go while you tow. So this is more of a feel good kind of hey worst case scenario sort of situation. So they see made us really wish we'd waited for the battery to get to 100%, but 97% will have to do. Combination of gravity, carefully wielded regenerative braking, we able to prove the range estimate wrong, and 123 miles later, we easily glided into our destination with 47 miles of range remaining at 40%. Yeah, so if you're going to tow heavy and you're going to tow fast, don't expect it to go far. Towing roughly 9,000 pounds of Rivian R1T, and plus this load is not exactly aerodynamic either. It's a big, heavy, flat trailer and and an old school minivan, or old school. Yeah, it was not the kind of minivan like for home use, but like it was a small contractor van. This may have been the passenger version, but based on the windows, I would say it is not. Let's see. Uh, they reduced their range by 45% on average, slightly better than Rivian's estimate of 50% reduction while towing the maximum 11,000 pounds the truck is capable of. Our range dropped from an EPA estimated 314 miles to as low as 170 miles. For context, that's 30 miles further than a standard Nissan Leaf can cover on a standard charge. Ooh, the shade. But less than most other EVs. And as you guys know, I tow with the Model X occasionally. That's something you don't want to see. All four wheels off the ground. Um, Robert Williams says that it's 50 miles per hour max over there. Okay. The Model X, depending on what you're towing, it can vary just as well. With the large cube U-Haul trailer, fully loaded, that's 5,000 pounds. With the 20-inch wheels and the dual axles on the trailer, I saw roughly half. But with the slightly smaller version with the single axle and also fully loaded, but not obviously to 5,000 pounds, I saw much lower than 50%. It was still not full range by any means, but we were able to resume skipping superchargers if we kept the speed down with that smaller trailer. All right, so let's see. What do we have next? Oh, I got to give you guys the link so you can read the whole article and watch that cool video. Moving on. Is this a public group? It is. But it's not going to do what I want. So it says great news for Racine EV owners. It's from the Journal Times. Amazon prepares to go electric in a big way with delivery vans at the Racine County hub. Let's take a look. Oops, I pasted and go in the Facebook tab and not in the tab that you guys are looking at. All right, let's see what they say. No, thank you. Amazon's commitment to EVs might make headlines on Wall Street, but the company's hub in Racine County is becoming where the rubber meets the road. They've won approval from the village of Yorkville to install almost 400 new EV charging stations as delivery center at Grandview Business Park. There you go. So are these going to be level 2s or DC fast charge? They're not saying much about the plans, but officials are excited that Executive Chair Bezos and his team are bringing EVs to the western Racine County. You can get some details on this thing. It calls for 399 stations, and they could be installed within 90 days. There you go. Other profit and such. The board approved the proposal on June 13th with little debate. Described a total of 399 stations while also showing 630 as a future target and 760 for a total site. They declined to comment. Okay. And then we've got a PDF of the plans. So let's just do it this way. No, I still want to keep the same tab open. Paste it, go. Close that. All right, so let's see if we see anything that catches our eye here. Let's you can get some specs on these things. Flood has area, general notes, electrical plan. Here's their site off of I-94. Let's see. Concrete masonry notes, general notes. Vertical cell, structural cell, reinforced concrete. Let's see about the electrical. Here we go. Oh, continue. General site work. I didn't see electrical start for them to continue it. Responsibility, blah, blah, blah. All connections except the EV charge cable termination and the charge posts shall be made with a protective coating of antioxidant compound, non-locks. Disconnect switches will be by HP rated. Contractors should label all panels with only typewritten directories. Yeah, you don't want any handwritten stuff out there. Well, it got blurry. If we scroll down and scroll back up. No, it's just still blurry. Let's do a refresh and see if that helps. And then while we're at it, we'll do a search for the word amps. Maybe I shouldn't have refreshed it. Stand by. All right, it says it's done. Let's refresh it again. Maybe it got blurry because I got kicked off. Stay out of our details, dude. All right, so moving on. This one's coming from a private group. Good news for recent Bolt buyers. Applies to any Bolts model year 2021 or 22 purchased during calendar year 2022. Chevy will send eligible customers letters with instructions for requesting reimbursement. So then it goes on to have a link to this. Oh, delivery. My wife is making something spicy. I like it. Smell it. It smells good. Chevy plans to cut the price of the 2020. Oh, I didn't paste it in the right place. Sorry. You guys looking at a black screen. Oh, gray. Chevy Bolt buyers to get retroactive discounts ahead of price cut. Chevy plans to cut the price of the 2023 Bolt EV and EUV by $6,000. So the brand is compensating customers who paid more when discounts and inventory were scarce. That is a good move. Good customer service there. Because typically, what happens, no matter who the brand is, something happens, price drops, they tell you to kick rocks. Oh, hey, look at that! We got a fresh bottle for Moto when she wakes up, and another beverage for me in case this runs long, which it might. You guys know me. All right. To continue reading, subscribe. Not going to do that. So we're just going to go on the headline, and that is good news. It's a good way to handle it. And yeah, as Colbert told you, this is a great deal. And our friend Eddie was actually looking at getting a Bolt EUV to upgrade from his Bolt EV. They haven't given his new battery yet, but having a fresh battery will help. If he goes for a private sale, he can say, "Hey, look, the new battery was just installed. It's got 300 miles on it," or something like that. Or if he sells it before they replace it, he can say, "Hey, and you got a free battery coming from Chevy whenever you feel like it." All right, so that's automotive news. This one's coming from Engadget. Oh, we've got multiple Hyundai stories this week, don't we? Let's start with this one. Hyundai shows off its Ioniq 6 EV for the first time. So I like that it shares some features aesthetically with the Ioniq 5, like the Matrix style LED accents for the turn signal and tail lights and everything. It is a lot more rounded. It's not that brutalist square like the Ioniq 5 and Cybertruck. I still like this, and looks like the back seat might not have a lot of headroom. We'll see how they arrange that. Remember that I thought previously that the Ioniq 5 was it for a while, but they have the Ioniq 5, the Ioniq 6, Kia EV6, and the Genesis GV60. So I wonder if this is on that same platform. We'll find out as we scroll through this article, or if this is something different. The GV60s have been spotted being delivered to dealerships, and I haven't seen anybody pick theirs up yet. But if they're being delivered, then somebody's going to get one soon. Let's see. Showed off in 2020. It retains the prophecy futuristic elements without looking like it was a prop made for a sci-fi movie. Yeah. Aerodynamic profile and clean lines. Yeah, we can see that right there. It has a ultra low coefficient of drag of 0.21. Most modern cars have a drag coefficient of 0.25 or 0.3. And amazingly, none of the Teslas have it this high to date, of the ones for sale. I think the Cybertruck was even lower than this, and I have no idea what the Tesla Semi is, but it's not going to be pretty. It will be better than a regular Semi, but it won't be like a car. Inside, the Ioniq 6 has a cocoon-shaped interior that's trimmed in sustainable materials, such as eco-processed leather or recycled PET fabric for its seats. Oh, so you can get fabric if you want. Interesting. Modular platform, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't say the name of it. For entertainment and navigation, it has modular touchscreen and dashboard with 12-inch display and 12-inch digital cluster. So I think this is just the coupe sedan style of the hatchback, except that it's also sedan, totally a sedan, because look at where the hinges are. That's not going to be a hatchback. It's like it was a Model 3 where it opened really high, because look how high on the body that is. Yes. I got a notification. It was probably that they delivered something in the garage. They have yet to announce the specs, but to give you an idea, the Ioniq 5 has a 72.6 kilowatt hour battery that can deliver up to 300 miles of range, boasts 320 horsepower, 446 foot-pounds of torque, and the capability to go 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, which is way better than the Toyota. Hyundai revealed the Ioniq 6 full specs and features during its world premiere in July. One thing that these guys don't mention, I guess because they're not EV folks or a tech site, that the Ioniq 5 is capable of 350 kilowatt charging at 800 volts for a little while. It does have a taper just like every other electric car. I like it. Kind of reminds me of a Porsche with the Mercedes in the back. Okay. This person doesn't like it. This one thinks it's gorgeous. And I might correct the article a bit. We don't yet know the battery size, but the 77 kilowatt hour battery is the correct size one if the range is to be higher than the Ioniq 5. Cool to have an EV other than Tesla that's not an SUV. Yeah, because so many of the stuff they're selling right now is SUVs and crossovers. As Eddie keeps telling us, it's that same SUV look he likes to say. All right, so let's close this one and move to the next one. All right, so we talked about the Laguna Seca delivery, and this is just a copy of it from another site, so we will move on. Let me load up a couple more. All right, I'm going to go out of order from what I picked, just because this one gets on my nerves. You've heard me say it before, and here we go again. This one is coming from Electric. Let's see what we're looking at here. Toyota has just started its BEV program, and it's wasted all of its tax credits on hybrids. Yes, they have. One of the people in one of the groups I'm in was saying, well, the same thing that GM did with the Volt. Not quite. My complaint with Toyota wasting them on EVs is that they put out these EVs, plugins, not EVs, these plug-in hybrids that didn't actually qualify for the full tax credit. So, you're capable of getting $7,500 back for a vehicle with a 16 kilowatt hour or higher battery. Chevy put out 16 kilowatt hour batteries and kept raising it all throughout the life of the vehicle, while Toyota put out 11-mile Priuses, 11 miles of plug-in range. So you might get 500, 1,500, whatever the bare minimum rebate was, but it also counted as a car against their 200,000 car credit. So Toyota was literally just wasting these credits on cars that they couldn't even get you to work and back. Remember, the average American commute is covered by 40 miles of electric range, which is why Chevy did those 38-mile batteries, because batteries were really expensive back then. I get it. But the Nissan Leaf was there. It had 78 miles practical, 100 and some odd miles on paper. It had a much larger battery because it was a pure EV. It needed to be able to do that. But both of those vehicles, they qualified for the full credit. And so have most everybody else's vehicles qualified. Like the Chrysler Pacifica has a greater than 16 kilowatt hour battery pack. I can't think of very many that didn't at least qualify for half the credit. 11 miles was just like Toyota wasted so much time on their hydrogen boondoggle, and now they finally got a real EV that can qualify, and now their customers can't take advantage of it. So what's going to happen now once they hit their 200,000th car, which they've either already done or will do soon? What's going to happen is for the next couple quarters, I think 3, they'll have unlimited sales for the next 3 quarters, unlimited sales, but each quarter the amount of tax credit you can get will drop. So you go from 7,500 to 4,000 and change to 3,000 and change, and then to 1,500 and change. They'll just disappear. So that's why I like to say that Toyota wasted it. I mean, yes, it helped them move that many more Priuses, but if you're not in it just to sell cars, if you're in it for doing the right thing, they were not doing the right thing. They were squandering this opportunity. It was there to make it cheaper for the customers to be able to afford the new tech, and so you could have an affordable crossover SUV of medium size for all these folks for the next while, and instead now you've got to be in that next three quarter window, or you're paying full price. as we've seen with Tesla and Chevrolet, who are both out of the credit. It's not actually going to stop anything, but I know a lot of people who could use $7,500 more in their pocket by the time tax season rolls around, and now that's just one less option for folks who need the money and don't yet have an EV. For the folks that don't need it, yeah, this is not a consideration, but uh, not everybody's that wealthy. They can just throw away 10 grand. Just here you go, no big deal. I didn't need it anyway. For some reason, Nissan still has not crossed the threshold, even though they've been selling EVs in the U.S. the longest. They beat Chevy by a number of weeks, I think two, and and they've been selling just as long. But Chevy and Tesla have run out. I think Ford is close. Toyota, like I said, they're finally selling an EV and they're already out because they wasted it. And Ford's got a way to go, but they're not there yet. Who else is there? Nissan, Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi is at least selling. I think theirs has a 16 kilowatt hour battery on the Outlander plug-in hybrid. Who else can you guys think of? Uh, Timothy says, makes me wonder about Toyota's viability as a profit-making company. I agree. They may be zombies right now. They don't even know it. Because what's happening is they've got, they're a very conservative company, so they've got a lot of cash. So they move slowly, and they're very sure-footed, so they have a lot of access to credit, and they've been around for a long time, so they can keep shuffling along for quite a while. But you need customers to do that, and right now people are complaining about the BZ not meeting their needs as a Toyota customer, um, meaning that as I said, with the VW ID4 actually meets their needs as a Toyota customer better. So for the first time, they're switching instead of a Prius, they're going into a Volkswagen instead of a Camry or Corolla or Rav4. They're going into a Volkswagen. Um, a bunch of them already did the Tesla stretch because they didn't have anything but that stupid Mirai. If you're into hydrogen, great, but it's a boondoggle. You can't tell me it's not until they are able to sustainably, affordably produce the hydrogen, and also have a place to fill up around the nation, which isn't going to happen anytime soon, if ever. So they wasted all this effort on the hydrogen cars while their customers were demanding something that they could use in their daily life that was greener than a Prius, and all they did was put out FUD and Mirais and advertisements saying why electric cars are dirty, blah blah blah, instead of actually making a car that people wanted to buy. So some of them were on the edge of being able to afford a Tesla. They did the Tesla stretch. Some of them were already did like me, jumped into a Chevy Volt, and when that got canceled, they switched to a Bolt EUV, a Ford. So Toyota has lost a lot of customers on this, and they're going to continue to do so because the product is not inspiring. I don't even let's look up on the price right now on the Toyota BZ4X versus the VW ID4. I bet you they're really close. And from all the reviews I'm seeing, the VW is a lot more compelling than the BZ. Uh, However, since Subaru hasn't sold any fake electric cars, um, they have a full 200,000 credits available to them. So if you do like this car and it does meet your needs, and with the $7,500 credit, it's in your budget, you can also get it. And in my opinion, it looks a little better from Subaru because there's less of those like weird Toyota contrasty fake plastic things going on. Personally, if you like this car, I think it's solid. I'm not bad mouthing your car. I'm saying the company had several missteps to get here, and they screwed the pooch. Because this hybrid sales set has used up its entire allotment of 200,000 credits, largely on low-range hybrids. And yeah, 11-mile, later 22 miles, and then eventually they finally got with the program and made them go further. But 11 and 22 miles were the bulk of these 200,000 cars. So this guy agrees. I assume it's Fred. Let's see who it is. No, it's Jameson Dow. So not only did they waste the money of the customers by making a vehicle that didn't qualify for the full credit, uh, now the vehicles that do qualify can't take it. So they started selling BZ4X, and it's off to a slow start. They only expect to sell 7,000 units this year. So that means only 7,000 cars are going to qualify because a year is 4 quarters long, and they only get the full credit for 3 more quarters. You're right, Timothy. I don't see how this company survives. And Robert says, look at the customer satisfaction survey. That's another good point. From the top to the bottom. Wow, good point. One thing I was saying, and I don't know who I told this to. It wasn't online. Um, but another way to look at it, aside from the fact that they conned the Japanese government into this hydrogen facade, they look at their CEO. He doesn't believe in economy cars. He wants sporty, racy cars, and he wants to make them cheap because that's what his company makes, is affordable family cars. He wasn't into the Prius until he could make it a little peppier. And he definitely wasn't into EVs because he thinks they're slow. And we've written a lot about Toyota's deficient or outright hostile EV strategy. Yes. This is yet another sign of it. Instead of making compelling electric cars, it looked at regulations and made a PHEV with the minimum amount of flare. Excuse me, it's spicy in the air. Toyota cynically sized up the Prius battery just above the minimum amount to qualify for EV credits and carpool stickers. See, that's what they were going for. They weren't even going for the battery. They were going for the carpool stickers. While others in the industry have actually been taking steps to make better EVs. As a result, Toyota missed out on several $100 million worth of credits for its customers. And yeah, so that's another good point, Timothy. If this conservative, you know, what do you call it? When I say conservative, I'm not saying politically, although, as we've seen from their political donations, wow. We caught them making, what, 2 or 3 questionable candidate donations, like to people that even the so-called conservative party doesn't care for. Like, that made them look really bad. But not just that. I meant by conservative, I meant fiscally conservative. They want to save money. They want to be the stodgy old respectable choice. Nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. Yeah, nobody ever got fired for buying a Toyota. That's what they want you to think as well. But I don't see. They've really got to shape up their act, and they can do it. They've got enough people and skills and everything to do it. But because of they're so large, it's like turning a large cargo ship versus turning a Coast Guard. What do they call the jet boats? Jet boat can turn on a dime and stop on a dime. The cargo ship can't do that. And on top of that, you've got hubris and inertia. So this is the way we've always done things. It's always worked for us. We're going to keep doing it that way. Well, doesn't always work out that way. And this is what always just frustrates me beyond measure with this, is that this is the same company that did take a risk on the Prius, and they said, hey, let's try it out, let's see what happens. We're going to lose money on it, and we think it's the right thing to do. They went from that to just trying to strangle the EV, keep it in place because one, it uses more expensive batteries, and two, it's got a different fueling system. It doesn't keep you into that whole same old. I've got to go to some place 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week, and I can't, I can't fill it home. Yeah, there's the Zodiac boat, Dan, but I'm actually thinking of the jet boat. Let's start with that before I compare the prices. It's a large boat. It's not a cargo ship, but it's large. Yeah, this one. I don't want to steal Dustin's video, so let's see if I can't get the a photo of the jet boat. No, I clicked videos instead of images. There we go. This is what I'm talking about. Not the Zodiacs. They're pretty large. They can do reverse. They can turn on a dime. They've got differential thrust. All right, so that's why it didn't work. I spelled jet wrong. All right, let's go back to all and let's do a search for BZ4X versus A4. There we go. Let's look at CarBuzz's video on our site on this. And of course, it opens a new window. We got the MG in America. We've got old MGs. I don't think we have any new MGs. At least I haven't seen any. All right, so yeah, so the Volkswagen is cheaper to start with. I think Volkswagen still qualifies for their tax credit. They haven't hit Well, I know they have because only Toyota and Tesla and GM and now Toyota have finished. Um, so it's cheaper all around. You know what? I also need to get the Subaru Solterra in here if I can. Oh, hey, look at that! Did you also want this? Yes, I did actually. All right, so these two are the same car. Remember that. Uh, this one to me just looks better, like the SUV wheel trim plastic, like every SUV has. Mine does too. This stupid matte, cheapo plastic for no good reason, but the Toyota leans into it, and the Solterra kind of tries to minimize it. And then the Volkswagen just does the same way everybody else does their crossovers. All right, so looking at the base trim on each. Yep, awesome. Thank you, Zachary. I appreciate that. A generous donation. Keep up the great work. It says that the Subaru is 44, the BZ4X is 42, and the ID4 is just 41 200. So now let's look at the rest of the specs. All these can be had as four-wheel drive, except that there you go. That's why, because the Subaru is only a four-wheel drive. So let's see if we can't bump these all up to four-wheel drive to compare equally. So I'm going for the cheapest four-wheel drive I could find for all of them. All right, so okay, so on four-wheel drive, the Toyota is actually just a couple $100 cheaper, but at the base models, it was not. All right, so let's compare a single-speed automatic, of course, because it's an electric engine. All-wheel drive. They don't have the fuel economy figures yet for either of these. Interesting. 102 mpge city and 90 mpge highway for the Volkswagen. Range of just 228 miles for the Toyota Twins, and a range of 251 miles for the Volkswagen. They're all five-seaters, and as I said, I think that the Solterra and the ID4 look better to me. Uh, they just do. So for some reason, the Solterra has one more horsepower than the Toyota, whereas the Volkswagen has almost 300 horsepower. The other two have almost have barely more than 200 horsepower. 249. It has one more foot-pound of torque too. What is up with this? Well, I guess when you charge extra, you want to get a little extra, even if it is only 1 horsepower and 1 foot-pound of torque. The Volkswagen has 339 foot-pounds of torque, single-speed automatic, all-wheel drive. The Volkswagen is a little bit heavier. It's at 4834 pounds versus 4333. It can actually tow. It's rated to tow at 2,700 pounds, whereas the Toyota and Subaru are not. At least not in the U.S. I bet you across the pond they are totally fully rated to tow 1,500 to 2,500 pounds. And then again, we got the fuel economy there, but not here. They have smaller batteries, 72.8 kilowatt hours versus 82. And the charge time is 50 hours at 110, 120. That sounds like my Model X. And the charge time on 120 and 240 is 11 hours. So I would assume that the Toyota will work the same way on level 1. They just don't bother to list it out. That'd be interesting if one was allowed to level 1 charge and the other was not. Like, oh, you have a regular outlet? Sorry, you can't do it. So these should have the same size because they're the same vehicle. It's a little bit longer, 4 inches longer. Interesting. The height is 65.1 on the Subaru and 65 on the Toyota. I wonder if it has like the fake little roof rack trim. Like it's not really a roof rack, but it's got like the rubber up there or whatever. Same width, 73.2 versus 72.9. Front width is 63.1 versus 62.3. The rear width is a little wider on the Twins versus the Volkswagen, 63.4 versus 61.5. The wheelbase is longer at 112.2 versus 108.9. Ground clearance is 8.3 on the Subaru and 8.1 on the Toyota. That does make sense to me because the Subaru is the off-roady adventure brand before Rivian came out, and well, the Toyota was never that. Let's see. You get 1 inch more legroom on the Twin in the front. You get 2 inches more headroom on the Subaru. about the same shoulder room, about 0.3 inches different. I, as I was saying, the Volkswagen is a better Camry than the Camry. uh, Toyota dropped the ball on electric, and then their first go at it is middling at best. And again, if you have either of these vehicles on order, I'm not downplaying your car. I'm not bad mouthing your car. I'm just saying the company did not put their best foot forward, and um, and they've done you a disservice. Now, if you like it and it meets your needs, be happy. I'm not saying that you made a bad choice. I'm saying that Toyota did you dirty. I'm not saying you got screwed. I'm not saying you got cheated because you know what you bought. You test drove it, you liked it. Hey, this is my favorite Toyota. Okay, well, I'm not pooping on your car. I'm sorry. It may sound that way. Not your personal car, anyway. So GM's making just 12 electric Hummers a day at its Detroit factory, despite a waiting list of 77,000 buyers, the report says. Uh, whoops. So let's do a little quick math. They're making 12 a day. So that's 12 times 365. That's 4380. So 7,000 by 4380. If you're at the back of the line for Hummer EV at multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're going to be waiting 17 and a half years for your truck if you're at the back of the line. If they don't improve this, I imagine that they will improve this, but right now, here we are. The end of last year, the last quarter of 2021, they made a whopping 24 electric vehicles, and then 12 Hummers a day. They must be building these things by hand. But again, if you have a waiting list of 77,000 trucks, you can't make these things by hand. That is just foolish. And of course, they show it doing showing off the rear wheel steering. It's always kind of cool to look at. Anyone waiting for the new Hummer may have to wait a bit longer than usual. Yeah. This is coming according to the Wall Street Journal, citing unnamed sources. So take that with a grain of salt. The pace is unusually slow given that production began more than 6 months ago. So this is what I was just saying there. The company first revealed the GMC Hummer EV in October of 2020, and its first pickup truck is aimed at rivals from Ford, Tesla, and Rivian in a fast-growing market. Rally the Corolla and Celica. I think that both of those would have been fine EVs, especially the Celica, but they canceled that car way early. Talking about how Hummer's history. The company spent $2.2 billion renovating the Detroit factory and has 700 workers to manufacture the vehicle. Now, what is wrong? Why are you guys failing? GM spokesperson told the company that it did not comment on output rates, but has opted for a strategic production ramp up in the first few months of production. So if they're taking 6 months to shake down the vehicle to make sure that customers have a good experience, okay, maybe let the people in line know. Maybe announce this so that you don't get hit pieces out about how slow you're making trucks. Like, hey, we're going to start really slow. We want to make sure we've done it right. This is our first large, heavy-duty EV that can do all these things. It is pretty quick at 4 seconds. 0-60, I believe it was, despite weighing tens of thousands of pounds and having a 200 kilowatt-hour battery. Let's see. Soaring costs. So I guess that's another way they may be doing it. Just like they drop the price on the bolts, maybe rather than raising the price on the Hummer, they just make less of them, hoping that the price to build them goes back down again. Maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I just don't. I don't have a clue. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. All right, so then we've got some more coming up. All right, I had a comment on this next one. So let's start there because I have a comment on it. Copy, close, paste and go. All right, so what did I say? I said the fact they still don't get it is probably why you have busted auto steer. Oh, this is coming from Bloomberg, and Tesla receives a recall order from Germany for Models Y and 3. More than 59,000 Teslas worldwide could be affected by the recall. The glitch is said to prevent emergency calls after accidents. All right, so my first issue with this is their worldwide comment, because uh, what this is about is the crash after a crash, the vehicle in Europe will call the local emergency number. In the US and Canada, it doesn't do that. We don't even have the button, so you can't have this affect vehicles worldwide when it only affects one region. So anyway, take that number with a grain of salt, and also the fact that it's going to be a typical Tesla recall. This is a software patch, not a broken piece of hardware that we know of. The glitch is said to prevent emergency calls after accidents. So Germany's auto regulators called on Tesla to issue a recall for 3 and Y. The FTA can only order a recall in Germany, but it said on its website that more than 59,000 Teslas worldwide could be affected. Maybe. The German agency identified a glitch with the car's emergency system, which should automatically call 911 in the US or a relevant emergency line in other countries. It will not do this in the US. It's not going to call. You might get a call from Tesla after your crash saying, "Hey, are you okay?" They used to do this. I don't know if they still do this, but they'll call your cell phone and say, "Hey, your car was in a crash. Are you all right?" And then if you're not, they'll call Tesla roadside and get you a lift. But we don't have the SOS button in North America. So since there is no SOS button, then you can't say that we were affected by this, because it's not on our cars. They didn't promise it to us, so it's not broken if it's not supposed to be there. uh, and then Bloomberg just uncritically just parrots the Germans, rather than saying, "Hey, does this appear outside of Germany?" No, it doesn't. Well, it does, but not worldwide. The notice was published on June 29th and reported by public broadcaster Rundfunk Berlin Brandenburg on Saturday. The affected cars were produced this year, according to the RBB, includes Model Y vehicles built at Tesla's factory near Berlin. Model Y was also produced at the group's plants in Fremont and Shanghai. Both factories also build the Model 3. So if it also affects Model 3, then it's probably software or a newer component. But again, with their old think, it probably affects the whole fleet, but they're only testing the new cars because that's what they do. Tesla quarterly production and delivery figures are due this weekend, which we talked about, and are expected to break a multi-quarter streak of record-setting results due to prolonged COVID-19 related shutdown. Whoops, you were wrong. They did a good job, and at least for June. And executive Elon Musk said that the company's new plants in Germany and Texas are losing billions of dollars as the vehicle maker tries to ramp up production. Yes, he did say those exact words, but they were taken completely out of context. What he was suggesting was that they're losing billions of potential dollars because they can't furnish the plants the way they had planned to, because parts are stuck in China or at the dock. And as we can see by the fact that people are getting long-range Model Ys from from Texas, they may have finally made a breakthrough in that. My battery stack is charging. It says it'll take 7 hours to finish, but I doubt that. Let me pull up the app and see. Oh, the app is closed. Restart the Mac. Everything was up the way it was when I left it. All right, so there's the app. Why can't I see it? Show all windows. No available windows. We'll quit it. While I wait on the Mac to be stupid, I will do it on the phone. I wonder if I need to reboot this thing, because that's the second app in a row that doesn't show me an interface that should. The Automotive is recharging now. As I said, nice sunny day. Plan to get some solar on that soon enough. Yes, sweetie. She's talking in her sleep again. All right, copy this, close that, look the next article where Bloomberg upsets me. Paste and go. So this one is from Electrek. The Boring Company's Las Vegas Loop with Tesla vehicles connects its first resort. So Dan shared another article in our group chat that said that that the Boring Loop is finally open, and I was like, it's been open for 2 years, and so I think what they're the app can't be opened. It says, yeah, I'm definitely rebooting after this. I think what they meant to say is that this is finally open to the public, because if you're staying at this resort, you can now use this to get to the convention center, and then eventually you can use it to get all over the city, even to the airport, which is just impressive considering the taxi lobby's stranglehold over that town. All right, so let's see. Full scale, blah, blah, blah. Last year. It's the first of 55 stops that are outside of the loop system built for the convention center. So it'll be 58 stops if you count those three. And here they are showing it off. And remember that this one is a one-way tunnel at the moment. So not one way. Sorry, I should say one lane tunnel at this point, not one way, because it goes both ways. You just can't do both ways at the same time. How much does it cost? He said that it would be comparable to a Lyft ride. At the convention center, it's free. So if you want to go from the west side to the east side, you don't pay, or north side to south side. I don't remember. From one end to the other, it's free. But to use the wider network through the city is supposed to be cheaper than Lyft. So we'll see how it actually plays out. But I'm excited for this because you get to stay underground, so you're not out in the heat. A lot of people like to complain, oh, why not just put a train, blah, blah, blah. Trains are expensive, and they have certain things that this one doesn't have as detractions as if you... here we go, Dawood. What's up, Dawood?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well.
Good deal, good deal.
Is the company...
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. Yeah, so the Loop is a company that's conducting the rides. They're owned by Elon Musk, and so they bought a bunch of Teslas. They stuck them in a tunnel. They have a tunnel boring machine, and they dig holes around the world. So I was explaining to Dawood why the Loop has some advantages over a train or a subway. That when people complain about why you don't just stick a train in it, why they should give it a chance. You want to go over?
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I was in Vegas. I was in Vegas last. I think that was in May, for a convention, for an event, and the only thing I wanted to do was to try to ride ride the Loop, and I could not. I didn't have enough time to get around to doing it. And then I later saw a video, I think somewhere, that said it's not really open for, say, joy rides. You can't
Right.
just go down
Yeah.
and I just want to do it. It's got to be, you got to be a part of the convention. It's only running when there's big conventions in town, and then you got to show a paid receipt. My event was very small, so they would not have opened it for us. Yeah, so I was very disappointed that I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
But please tell me why it's better than a train, because as much as I want to support Tesla and the whole Boring Company, I still don't get how this gets past the bottleneck of getting on and off. Like if this goes full world, full speed everywhere, you still got the idea that there's got to be a place where you get on and a place where you get off, and once you get off, everybody's going to get off. They're going to hit the first red light, and now everything backs up in the whole tunnel. Tell me why I'm wrong.
One big difference here between a subway is that the station, when you stop at the station, your vehicle doesn't block the track. It pulls off. So, so if the guy behind you in the next car is going to a different place, he doesn't have to slow down or stop because you're stopping at, so he wants to go to stop 12 and you're at stop 7. He doesn't have to wait for your vehicle to stop at 7, get off the tracks, or stop on the tracks, let you out, next person get in, and then they can all continue. Your vehicle will pull out of the path, and then you can take as much time as you want. Especially, say you're disabled, or you've got a lot of bags or small children. Nobody else is waiting on you except anybody else in your car, which is only up to 4 people. Whereas on the other system, you've got 150 people waiting on your child to have a tantrum. Not that your children will, but
They might. They might.
they might. And that's just one advantage. Robert Williams says hello.
What up,
Yeah, that's just one advantage. The other advantage is they're actually building in bypasses. So say you're at stop 7 and you want to go to stop 54, you don't have to ride the whole loop all the way through. It can just turn around in the middle of it. Yeah, and it's
All
cheap.
right,
It's
all
quiet.
right.
I guess cheap and quiet would still go for the subway because they're underground, so only the people that are near it are going to hear the steel on steel.
Yeah, it's pretty loud when you're there, but I don't hear it when I'm above ground.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Driving through Oakland when you see the BART train, it's pretty loud.
Right. But when it's in the tube, other people can't hear it, just the people in the tube.
Right.
Yeah. That's the other point. Robert
Right.
Williams says it's £1 million per carriage. So it's £1 million per carriage, and you need at least 4 of them, right? And how much is it for a Model 3 now? Almost $70,000, but how much is it supposed to be for a Model 3? 35,000?
Oh, he meant pounds. Money. Money's.
Yes. Money.
You've got an international audience.
We do.
It's like, what does the weight of this has to do with anything?
And then other people point out that with the weight of the train being steel and steel, you have less maintenance. But when you are able to purpose build the road surface for the vehicles riding on it, because it's not going to have a semi truck rolling through this tunnel, or if you do, it's going to be a Tesla semi truck. So you know exactly how much it's going to weigh, and if you do run a Tesla semi truck through this, you can account for the extra wear in the fare. But if you know that the heaviest thing rolling through here is going to be a Cybertruck or Model X, then and you build the concrete for that, you can make it last 10, 20 years without any maintenance to it. So it doesn't really have an advantage for rails on maintenance in this case. Now, if you open it up to general road traffic and a bunch of like construction semis roll through there, then absolutely the thing is not going to last very long. But there should not be any dump trucks rolling through there after the construction is done.
So, I mean, at some point, are we looking at just where it won't be where my full self driving can drive me through it, or I can drive through it myself, or is it
That's what I'm
always going to
hoping.
have to be
Right now you've
Tesla
got
dedicated drivers?
Right now you've got manual drivers driving at up to 40 miles an hour through the loop. That may go up, but right now they're capped at 40. They only charge it once a day, despite this thing running all day long, taking passengers on a multi-mile loop. They only have to charge it at the end of the day, at the end of the shift. They do charge to 100%, which I think is weird as heck. Huh?
Well, no, that's fine. I mean, I guess if they depends on what the battery chemistry is, that might be fine. And then they could be doing what I do.
They're regular ones like us.
Right, but if they're going to time the charge, then they know to stop charging right when they're going to do their first ride, and then boom, 100%, and then
that would work.
Drive it off. Yeah.
The only bad part about that is you got to remember there's no regen when you start your shift.
Right. Sorry, no regen on your first drive.
Right, but if like you're saying, if they do time it with a scheduled charge or the finish charge by feature, they set to 100, then you're right. That's not going to do much damage to the vehicle, and they can just write that into their wear and tear for their depreciation of the vehicle.
Right.
Or like in other ideas, if they're using refurbished packs, like the ones that come out of our cars when they do a warranty swap. And who cares if you destroy a battery that's already? Yeah, if you destroy a battery that's already been written off, who cares?
It's not a bad idea. So all these cars could be refurb batteries, salvage bodies, stick them all down in the.
There's that, and then also don't forget the lease turn-ins, because remember on the Model 3 and Model Y, and now the whole fleet, you can't buy your lease. And
I hear that. I've heard that from the beginning, but I don't see a lot of comments from customers who've been through this. I guess they haven't complained about it because they knew about it.
It's in your contract, so you can't do anything about it.
Well, you can't do anything about it, but I mean, I haven't seen a lot of people saying, "Well, I love this car, and now it sucks that I got to replace it."
Right.
Because I was hoping I could just keep it. I guess they're just happy to get the new one.
Right. Most of them just get the new one. Like you see so many of our friends that just get the new one even when they're on a purchase. Like, have you paid the other one off yet? No, it's fine. I got it. New one. All right. Glad for you. I don't got it like
They're looking at
that.
this. Their financial situation is set up a little different from mine, but
Yeah, you see the way my
more power
money's
to
set up. Yeah.
my plan was to take my car and just drive it till the wheels fall off,
Right.
literally, and just try to depreciate it as much as possible before I
Yeah.
get something else.
Speaking of wheels falling off, that's something coming up later.
Oh, yes.
With this whole situation with the loop, I always say that since it's being built with private money, not with tax money, just try it out and see what happens. Worst case is this thing doesn't work, right? Throw in
Mhm,
some rails or some buses, and then now you've got yourself a traditional underground tunnel system. Except that
mhm,
they still will have the bypasses. So if you do buses, the buses can then flip a UE. And
right.
the other good thing is, say this resorts world is only open for conferences. Like say
Mhm.
that's the only thing people go there for. You can cut it out of the loop during rush hour because during
Okay.
rush hour you're gonna
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's a good
yeah,
idea.
yeah. And I'm not talking bypass. I mean literally just don't go to their stop.
Shut it.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas to do that on a subway, like, oh yeah, people only go to the museum on Saturday. Well, you still have to go past the museum, whether you stop or not. You might even have to slow, depending on if you have to check to make sure there's not some fool jump down on the tracks.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So you brought up the point about the driver. So I mentioned that the drivers currently do up to 40 miles an hour. You could have a case where, with full self driving, right now it does have lines marked on the road, so it's got the two fog lines on both sides.
Mhm.
Um, but the tunnel is white. So somebody said with the whole no contrast tunnel, they might have trouble with that, but I don't think so. If they do, then put some stripes on the tunnel and it can track it. Um,
Mm.
but because autopilot and FSD currently are not always making the right decisions, they still need a safety driver there.
Mhm.
But when FSD is ready to get certified, whether or not it actually does go for certification, whether or not it gets approved for certification, since this is a closed network, this could be your demo. So
Hmm.
now when you're sure the car is not going to randomly turn left into the wall, or run over a pedestrian, then you feel comfortable with taking on the liability of removing the driver. You can show people that hey, this thing's been running for 8 billion miles underground. It's never turned into the wall and has never hit a pedestrian. And then you can say, oh,
I
by the
mean,
way, above ground, this is what we do too.
okay. I mean, that's something, but
Yeah.
you're in a tunnel that only goes in one direction. It's kind
Well,
not that
well,
I could do it, but it's not that hard to do. If the car, if you got a
this,
car that's
this
turning into the wall of a of a tunnel, you've got problems. You
that
really
that
need
will
to go
prove
back.
it's not ready. Yeah, yeah. So generally they're only one direction, but remember this one that just opened is a bidirectional tunnel. It's one lane
Hmm.
and then it alternates. So this one actually does go both ways, but all the rest of the network
True.
is dual tunnels, one tunnel one way, and
But this is still, I mean, this is still the hit that I think Chevy, the Super Cruise is hitting, that we hit, that 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 they're on closed areas, only highly
right,
mapped areas.
right,
And Elon says, well, he does. That's not what he wants for full self driving. Full self
right.
driving should function like a person, where it doesn't need to be remapped. You can put the car somewhere where it's never been before.
Right.
Type in your navigation where you want to go, and the car can figure it out. Being in
Absolutely.
the tunnel, even if it's never been
It
in a
doesn't
tunnel
prove that.
before,
Yeah.
it's a tunnel.
It's a tunnel. Yeah, so it
This
doesn't
way
prove
or
that.
that way.
Yeah, it doesn't prove that, but what it does do is allow you to save a minimum wage all the way up to whatever wage plus benefits they decide to pay these drivers. Because now
Okay,
you're not
yeah.
paying a driver per car, and right now they're at 70 cars. And it's only going to go up. They get more cars per station because if you want to be able to have somebody get in a car within a minute, then there needs to already be a car at the stop. It
Right.
may not be all the cars, but there needs to be a car at the stop, and so now you've got 70 people on payroll just sitting around waiting for stuff to do, right?
Right.
So they
Not
can
very
save that
efficient.
money. Not especially not the way Elon thinks.
Exactly. Not the way I like to see things at my office.
Right. Oh no, yeah. I like that, Zach. My money don't jiggle like that. Yes. Yeah, so I'm excited to see how this goes. And like I said, since it is private money, I say let them try. And if they fail, let them try to find a way out of it. But from what we've seen so
Mhm.
far, Las Vegas Convention Center put out a bid. The Boring Company accepted the bid and has exceeded all the requirements ever since. And then earlier this year, we talked about how they got a 1-year renewal from Las Vegas.
Mhm.
It wasn't that the 1 year was a vote of lack of confidence from Vegas. What it was they were hoping that Full Self Drive would be ready for
Mhm.
their next renewal, so they could pay the rate without the driver. So they were actually
Okay,
hedging their bets.
I see.
Yeah. So if FSD isn't ready next year, like Elon says, then you can see them probably do another 1-year extension, and then once the drivers are gone, you'll see them do their proper 3, 5, 10-year extension.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I guess
Good.
if yeah, FSD. I mean, but you still won't need full FSD for just to tunnel work. I guess there's going to be some when it comes out of the tunnel. There's some stuff that some
Right,
driving
right,
needs to do
because
on the
some of the
streets.
stations are above ground, some of the stations are below ground. It needs to not hit
Okay.
pedestrians. It needs to be able to pull off the track into the dwell area, or pull off into the parking lot, or pull off
Mhm.
into the charging area. So it does need to do more than basic autopilot. Um,
So are they going to have all of these drivers now just plug cars in for charging?
you when you go to
Since
clock
they
out,
don't need to drive.
right, when you go to clock out, you just plug the car in, and then
Oh,
you,
that's true. That's right.
yeah, because it's only
So
once
they
per
don't need
day.
to have right. It's once per day. So they don't need
Yeah,
multiple people doing that.
I bet you they also
Are
do
they
it on
going
their
to?
lunch break too, because you don't eat in the car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're still waiting for that snake to come out. So
They are.
there is that.
So another thing to consider with this is that these safety drivers are very well trained. Like they have to have a clean driving record, and they have to they go through with a mentor to learn the track. And then one of the first things that happens is the mentor gets them halfway into one of the longer tunnels, stops the vehicle, says, "Oh, it just broke. Tunnel collapse. All right, you got to reverse the whole way back." Well,
That's some training.
yeah. I mean, that was one of the first things my grandfather did to me. He's like, "All right, here's the car." He drove me out. So he was already on a farm, but even further into BFE. And he said, "All right, switch places." And I got behind the wheel. And he's like, "All right, back it up." And he had me back up for 3 miles till he was happy. And I was like, "Right." It's like
and
if you can't go backwards, you can't go forwards.
is that okay? That is some interesting training
Yeah.
that your grandfather, Mr. Miyagi, taught you.
I was
I
about to
don't
say Karate Kids though.
right. I've been, I've been driving for over 30 years now, and I have not had a need to back up for 3 miles yet.
I did have to go for a whole mile once.
Really?
So I was comfortable with that training, but uh,
No, I've been in several cars that actually I've had to navigate that the transmission broke and there was no reverse. So that was
ooh,
a
those are fun.
so, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I miss my grandpa. He was a cool dude. His birthday's
Sounds
coming
like
up.
it.
Yeah, his sister's birthday's tomorrow, but she's gone too.
Yeah.
Moving on. Sorry, I don't mean to
Lee
be a downer.
commented on that amazing training.
Yeah. So let's see. So instead of just a few photos of cars, how about embedding a map on the current route and instead of the proposed routes? A little context would help here. Edit. I see a map is in one of the linked articles, but it needs to be in the article too, along with highlights to show the route. So we've shown this before, but I'll click through and I'll open it again. And then this guy says, if they were connected, they could achieve more throughput. And if they were on rails, they could be. It's like all these fucking, excuse me, pardon my French, all these
Everybody
freaking
wants
big
the
brains.
rails.
uh, Remember, they had to stop at each station if the vehicles are joined, and the stations will also be larger and even at locations with low demand. This guy tried several times at the conversation to compare it to TCP/IP. Let's look at that other article to see the whole map, and then we will go on. All right, so where do I find the map? All right, here's what I'll do. I'll do a search. There we go. Oh, this is at the actual boring company. Who better to trust than them, right? They know what they're digging. And just like all the articles, the map is like teensy tiny. All right, so here is LVCC West. So the west to east stations. I had it right the first time. So this purple spot is already open. You've got oh wait, no, it's not. Where's the loop at? So the yellow section is the loop, the active one.
Okay.
The purple one was proposed for Caesars, just for Caesars. They want their own loop, but they want it connected to the main one. That way, if you stay at Caesars and you're staying and you've got a conference, you can go from their hotels to the convention, back to gamble your money, and then back to the airport. So it goes
That's
up
smart.
to. It is smart. It goes up to the airport. Eventually, they want to go take you straight further to the airport. I'm wondering if that's straight to the terminal, what we're seeing here. And if they do that, if you have security in the tunnel or if you have security when you get out. But it goes all the way to Fremont Street. Like, this is robust. And it would be difficult and expensive to do this with trains. Not saying that trains couldn't do more people. That is not what is being argued here. But what is being argued is that it will do the amount of people that they've been contracted to do. They said 5,000 people. The thing moves 8,000 people. Just round numbers, and they aren't the exact numbers. I think it was way higher than that. I think it was like in the tens of thousands of people per hour with the current system. Back when it was limited to 25 to 30 miles per hour, before they got their speed boost to 40. Yeah, speed boost. All right. Oh, Lee, you were asking how much it would cost, right? So here we go. Harry Reid International Airport to Vegas Convention Center, 4.9 miles, 5 minutes via the loop, $10 per car. Allegiant Stadium to Las Vegas Convention Center, 3.6 miles, 4 minutes, $6 per car. Downtown Vegas to Vegas Convention Center, 2.8 miles, 3 minutes, $5. That's good.
Uber and Lyft is not going to like this.
They will not. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. Well, I was going to say that maybe they can provide the drivers, but then nope, that's going to be cut out also. So,
yep. Well, they can do the drivers until the FSD comes out. Lee says I learned how to drive a stick after purchasing it and then had to drive it home. Ouch! They threw you in. So I learned stick on Grandpa's tractor, and then I got the first time driving a stick on the road because Grandpa only had automatics. Was when I was working for the Toyota store. One of the salespeople said, "This is not good." He took me out in a brand new 5-speed Corolla, 4-speed Corolla, and he said, "All right, we're not going to do anything on your shift until you know how to drive this stick." And and we were out by lunchtime.
The question though, did Lee have to drive it home in reverse? That's the training.
That is a good question. Yeah. So Ginger Black brings up a good point that here in the EU, autopilot is very bad, even the enhanced one. Absolutely, and that's what I was complaining about with the whole German recall situation with the SOS button not functioning during a crash the way it's supposed to. Is that one? Yes, that is probably going to be a software fix, and 2, it's not worldwide, and 3, this small-minded thinking of the German folks, not just them, but the other regulators that are involved in Europe, why your car stinks so terribly at autopilot and FSD and all of that. That same small-minded thinking in the recall is probably why they keep nerfing your FSD week after week. It does less and less than when you bought the car and what you paid for, and it's frustrating because all you have to do is look at videos of what it's doing in the U.S. The only complaint I've seen so far from an EU citizen that the car doesn't do is that in Germany, when you come to a complete stop on the road for traffic, you need to make a lane for emergency vehicles, and the Tesla doesn't do that. This person who was arguing with me was saying the Mercedes does do it. That's why I need to get a Mercedes. I'm like, well, if you're buying a Mercedes for that, when you could just manually steer to the left, I mean, I really hope you like the Mercedes because that system only works at 39 miles an hour if there's traffic. So I'd much rather my stuff work all the time. Yeah. Now, if you like the way that car looks and it has the features you want, then I'm not just like the Toyota. If you want to buy the Toyota because it works for you, I think that's great. But I also think the Mercedes could do better than 39 miles an hour and only in traffic. Oh, and it can't change lanes.
Is that for all their Mercedes cars? Or you're talking about like the EQS?
Specifically, we were arguing the EQS, but I think it's all the Mercedes Smart Drive, Traffic Aware, whatever's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw one for the first time. Where was I? I don't know. Somewhere. Oh, EQS. That's nice.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but to me, it looks like like somebody took a Honda Civic 2006 coupe and then smooth it out even further.
Maybe I got to sit inside of it, but yeah, on the outside, it doesn't. It's not very spectacular. It doesn't
The
really.
inside is pretty, but from what
Yeah.
I saw with where Marquez was showing the software, that thing was like laggy and slow, like slower than your first MCU and my current MCU. I was like, ooh, that is not how you do software. um, Zach says the way you do resale value works. My next Tesla is pretty much free upgrade, assuming I can get more than 40,000, 4 years old Model 3, 80,000 miles, and rear wheel drive. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you do it right now while the market is just in topsy-turvy land. And you can wait for the new one to get built, or if you can find one at the end of the quarter push, because they're still like they're still doing that mess where you're on vacation because they told you your car was 6 months out, and they want you to get back in town in the next 2 hours to come pick up your car, or they're going to sell it to somebody else. They're still doing that. I was just talking to somebody this morning on Facebook who came back from their vacation because they said it'd be ready today, but today is after June 30th. So they got back, went to pick up the car, and the rep says, "Oh, I can't find it." Other rep says, "I sold that thing on the 30th."
Numbers. We got to hit the numbers.
Exactly.
Well,
So
Elon said there wouldn't be a big push to hit those numbers.
they're still doing it.
But I guess if the car is sitting here, somebody wants it.
Well, there's that, and don't forget Elon tweeted it. They only seem to listen to him when he emails.
Oh, okay. I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so Lee says it's not accessible to the public. It is now with this opening of this station. It is now open to the public, but with this station, you can only go to the convention center and back. So we need one more station to open before it's fully fledged and fully useful to the public. Because if you can get in and it doesn't have anywhere to go, then it wasn't worth it. Not for $6. Because remember, it's free at the convention center, but to get to the convention center or to get off the convention center, then you pay these rates. Yeah. So Uber and Lyft will still be making money, yeah, until this is open, and then they'll be out of business. My mom didn't have the patience, so the dealer rep had to teach me. Wow, he's like, all right, do this, and when he got bored, all right, time to go. I actually think I taught one or two customers how to drive stick as well. My coworkers did way more, mostly because I was the hybrid guy, so all of my stuff was automatic except the CRZ and the used Civic hybrids and the used old Insights. Yeah. She said, nah. I barely knew how to drive at home. Hitting the gears and yelling, or hitting the gears and getting yelled at by mom. Yes. Well, mom, if you knew how to do this, you should have taught me how. I had to feel the stick. Yeah, you had to feel it, but so you drive it with no shoes. Yeah, I drive with no right shoe to this day because I can feel exactly what's going on with the pedal. Yeah, just a sock because who knows if I'm driving my own car or somebody else's car, or who's driven my car like a mechanic with full shoes and who knows what they stepped in. So I'd keep the sock on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can become one with the car.
Yeah.
Actually, I was trained. My first driving experience was on a stick. My mom taught me how to drive my dad's. What he had a Chevy, not Chevy. It was a Ford. Um, the white truck, right? It might have been an old Ranger, but yeah, I went out to the park and I was bucking all the way. And then my very first car was a stick shift, also a 4-speed.
There you go.
No, a 5-speed Dodge Omni,
Mm.
which in my opinion looks like the EV6.
Yeah.
From the side.
On the side. My first and only stick was in between my Civic hybrids. I sold my 2008, 2009 Civic hybrid during a gas price crunch while there were no hybrids in stock. So I sold, very much like the Tesla is now, right? So I sold it. I ordered a new one, and I waited months because that thing didn't come in. Turns out the car fell off the boat, and so I got another one from I got another one from another dealer, and it was the end of the month. So they delivered because my birthday's at the end of the month. So they delivered it to me on my birthday at my store with the old guys showed up. They said, "Here's the paperwork packet." I signed the paperwork. My customer in front of me signing their paperwork. And then the old guys left with the paperwork, left me the keys. Yeah, so in between those two cars, like I said, when they asked me why didn't you buy a car here? We sell this exact same car. This is what I was like. I ordered it, and your manager didn't tell me it fell off the truck or off the boat. Sorry, it fell off the truck. They can repair it. It fell off the boat into the drink, and they didn't bother to tell me, and they didn't order a new one. So
Holy
I'm the
crap!
hybrid guy. I need a car. Because so my
So,
hmm?
so people with environmental concerns, is this something that we should be thinking about? Exactly how many cars are at the bottom of the ocean right now?
Oh yes, absolutely.
That's probably a lot.
I hope they fished it out. I don't know. But either way, it
Well, I
didn't make
mean,
it. Hmm?
there was that whole a bunch of Porsches and Audis all fell down
Yeah,
in the ocean
burnt up.
recently. So I didn't I didn't think how far back this goes. Like that wasn't the first time.
Right, right. This was a 2012 model, so it would be 2011, 2012 that this thing fell in the water. Um, they didn't replace it. I mean, I would have been fine if they said, "Oh, sorry, here's the new one. It's on the way. It's stuck over here, back in the way from Japan." They just let me just keep tracking the car, and like the car just stopped moving forward on the track for months. I'm like, So then I asked. I said, "What? Where's my daggum car? Oh, it fell in the water." I'm like, so where's my new car? We didn't order it. I'm like, why not? So I ordered it from somebody who had it. I even had to get a
Sorry.
different color. Yeah, 'cause I wanted a blue one. I got a white one because that's what they had in stock. But I wanted the blue interior more than I cared about the exterior color. So that was actually my
Hmm.
last leased car. Um, I traded that one for my Chevy Volt. But in between the two Civics, the '09 and the 12, I had a '95 Nissan pickup. It didn't even have a name. It would have been the what do they call that thing? The Frontier. But it didn't have a name at the time. It was the '95 Nissan pickup. Um, it had a 5-speed, had air conditioning, manual mirrors. No, it had power mirrors, power mirrors, and a manual stick. And it's South Carolina, so you can't not have air conditioning. So it had air conditioning, and it was the single cab. I had there was a tensioner on one of the belts that came off, so I had a $4 repair in the entire couple of months I had the truck, and
Hmm.
it was very light, so I did spin it out once in the rain. I was coming down a hill, and I hit the clutch the wrong way, and the thing's like, it's like, oh, life
Holy
flashing
crap.
before my eyes. Yeah. Thankfully, it was like early or late or whatever, and so there was nobody on the road. And the one person who did see it, he was laughing. He's like, ah, and then
They should they should do like my spin out. I did one like that. The light was turning red, raining in New Orleans, and
yeah,
slammed the brakes too hard. The car went a full
that's what
360,
happens
finished up,
down the hill.
finished up on the other side of the intersection
Oh no,
in
no, it
the
was
right
in the lane.
direction.
Oh man,
No,
it
it's
was it
right
was
other side
same
in the
same
right
way.
intersection in the right direction. Just kept going.
Oh
Didn't even
man,
slow down.
yeah. So that was a learning experience there, and I sold that truck to lady who did paperwork for the dealership, and hopped into my Civic, drove that until I got the Volt, and that was fun. A Civic hybrid, because again I was the hybrid guy. So that was my first and only
Right.
manual transmission, and it was easier than the tractor. The tractor, man, if you did anything wrong with that, it would shut down, jump, and then you had to push it all the way down to get it started again. That thing was a bear. All right, let's see. Dan says if the passenger load is larger than they expect, then rideshare will survive. Yeah, but that's the beauty of this is it's a lot cheaper to add 10 more Teslas to the loop than it is to add 10 more train cars. Because again, train cars a couple million pounds, and you gotta monetary pounds, and you gotta wait for them to get custom built and shipped. Whereas Vegas is just down the street from Fremont, not Fremont Street, but Fremont the factory, and
Mhm.
you can get yourself some Model 3s, Model Ys, and Model X's up in there like that. Especially if they're coming in off lease or, as Dawood said, damaged or in other ways that customers didn't want to own them, but they're safe enough to drive in.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Ginger Black says everything is caused by the German makers that aren't able to reach a software level even close to Tesla. So the EU government placed these stupid laws for self-driving cars that are blocking Tesla. Yeah, because just like
Mm.
over here where the auto industry rules everything, auto industry and oil industry rule everything. Same in Germany. Auto industry and oil industry are just running amok in Germany. Like you have high tech just like we have, but you have great engineering, all that stuff. But they're the ones greasing all the politicians, and so that's what we get. Uh, Sorry for your English. I'm Italian. That's fine. That's fine. Like we're international here. We appreciate you saying anything. So thank you. um, Robert says he had a $10 EV taxi the other day. That's nice. Send me a link to the video. I'd like to see how your ride went with that. Yeah, that's another thing you could do. Driving shoes. Robert showed us his race car the other day, and I would say definitely in that car you'd want some driving shoes. That was a cool car he showed us. Let's see. Yeah, so I think that's enough about the loop for now until we get somebody in it. Let's take a look at this one. Is from a private group. So let me get the meat of it out of there, and then we'll continue on. Let's see. Okay, so that was about the production numbers. That was just a reminder to me to get the production numbers. And all right, folks are being amazed with the numbers. Let's close that back down. And then we've got this Autoblog article. And this other article from Robert Williams. And then Hyundai Kia. And then somehow I said we'd talk about wheels, but I didn't even get it in there. Let's just start with that. I don't care about the Lexus. Let's go with Reuters. It's a little less of a lean than CNBC. Not that CNBC has that much of a lean, but Reuters is a little more neutral. The first ever 2023 BZ4X. Wow. This one actually looks glossy, not matte. All the ones I've seen, it was matte. And just the way the contrast is, I don't like the way it looks compared to the Subaru.
Am I supposed to be seeing a picture now? I'm still seeing the website for Toyota.
Oh no! It did the thing in the new window, and it did it seamlessly. Like I didn't even see a flash, so I didn't know that you guys weren't seeing it. Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about with
that's
Fender.
classy.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a Lexus, it looks like a Toyota, so it's not that far off, but it's just I like the Subaru better in styling. And they're the same car.
I don't love the name.
And the name is ridiculous. The Beyond Zero 4-wheel drive.
Is that what that stands for?
Mm-hmm.
And when I see anytime they put BZ next to each other, it screams busy.
Busy. The busy zeros.
This car's getting busy.
Oh, or that. So, and rather than say BZ4X, that's a mouthful, too many syllables, and I can't remember it. So Russell Frost, what drives us, he called it the BZ4X, and he might have got that from John, President of Canada, as we call him. But it feels like there's less going on in my mouth when I say the BZ versus the BZ4X. So anyway, this BZ, the first ever 2023. Is that the garage again?
Oh yes, my garage. I guess.
Oh, it's your garage. Okay, I thought my garage was opening again. So anyway, somehow I didn't include this in the show notes. I don't know what happened. I must have another window open I was planning to go through, but whatever. Toyota said that it would recall 27. Oh no, we did talk about this at the beginning of the show, didn't we? But we didn't say why. I know we didn't say why because no, we talked about the Ford, didn't we? It was a Ford F-150 Lightning had a recall.
Okay.
There's a similar number of cars. That's what.
When I jumped on, you said you were going to talk about wheels coming off.
So yes. Yeah. So this one is a similar number of vehicles to Ford, and that's what made me think of it. So on Thursday, it's recalling 2,600 units of the Solterra and 2,200 the BZs, of which 260 are going to Europe. So no, I said that wrong. 2,700, 2,200 were earmarked for Europe, 260 for the U.S., 10 for Canada, and 110 for Japan.
10,000?
10.
100?
Like less than less than Chevy sold for Christmas. two less than Chevy sold for Christmas. Yeah.
They gotta try harder. But okay.
They're not trying. They're literally doing lip service to keep us off their backs. That's all this is.
We're gonna make 10.
10. And then they said, "Oh, by the way, we're sold out for 2022. Good luck next time."
Get you and your 9 best friends to get an EV.
Right. Like rather than do what Tesla does and say let's build more factories and get more shifts, and like at least Volkswagen, like they found a way. They said, oh, by the way, here's another run for the next group of cars.
Mm,
Ford Ford kind of on the fence. They also wanted to get more, but they didn't promise. They just said, oh, hey, we found some more. Here you go.
mm,
But Toyota and Chevrolet, they both said, oh, we're sold out for the year. Bye. At least Ford and GM came back and said, all right, here's the next batch. We don't know when you're
mm.
going to get it, but here it is. But that was my garage.
No, I guess no, my wife just left. So
Okay,
unless both of our wives have just left at the same time, they're gonna go
my
meet
wife
each
can't
other.
drive.
Oh, okay. No, that was
No, I think
my
that was
garage
Amazon,
opened and then okay,
and then
well, okay,
closed. But I heard
right.
three garages, so one of them was
So
maybe
one
mine
of
at
them
the
is
same time
yours.
as yours. Yeah. So anyway, rather than just saying, "Hey, we're out of cars. Good luck. Find another one," they said, "Hey, we're gonna try. We'll find some way to make some more cars." And I don't understand the mindset of, "Oh, we're done." If you just say, "Hey, we're out of this run, and the next one's going to cost whatever," like we don't know how much it's going to cost. You can get in line, and we'll tell you how much it's going to cost. I understand that. Like if they have that mindset of like, it's not like manufacturers don't raise prices. Like I would constantly get these emails when I was at all the different dealerships saying, "Hey, here's the new price, here's the new special." So it's not like they don't change the price. It's just
Mm.
a little more hidden when they do it. So anyway, Japan's safety regulator said sharp turns and sudden braking could cause a hub bolt to loosen. That's the center nut in the wheel,
Mhm,
the one behind the little pretty manufacturer's logo. The hub
mhm.
the hub bolt. Yeah, it could cause it to loosen, raising the risk of a wheel coming off the vehicle. It said this was not aware of any accidents happening being caused by the defect. I do like this about all the recalls we've been calling so far, is that nobody has been injured by them so far.
That's good.
Yeah. The regulator advised drivers to stop using the vehicle until a permanent repair measure was in place.
Okay.
Toyota, how long has Toyota, Alexa, how long
Oh
has
yeah.
Toyota been in business? How
Just
long has
like
Toyota been
it.
in business?
Here's something we found. According to fandom.com, Toyota is a Japanese automobile manufacturer founded in 1933.
1933. You've been making cars for almost
Oh,
100
100
years, and you
years.
can't keep the car's wheels on the vehicle?
Well, this is something special for EVs. This is a
They're
EV thing.
wheels. We're talking hub nuts.
Well, I mean, they were trying to sell me one, and they know I like to drive my cars until the wheels come off. So they
You'll be
figured they can
driving it
get
for a
me to
week.
get me to buy one sooner. I was gonna have to buy a new car every week. We're gonna be rich.
Right. So, I mean, I am not mocking them for having a recall. Everybody has recalls, but you would expect that being their first EV, there'd be some electrical stuff. And it's
Right.
not even their first EV, it's just their first mass produced EV. Because remember, they've made 3 versions of the RAV4 electric. They had the
Mm.
97, they had the Tesla thing, and then they had the one that they just started making.
Mhm.
And now they've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
this.
Should be something wrong with the battery. Something's wrong with the battery,
Yeah,
management system. Something like
right.
that.
Oh, we didn't
They
program the software
should,
correctly.
right? They should
A
know how to
wheel
put
nut.
wheels on.
100 years down the line. I mean, and then again, I'm glad nobody got hurt, and I'm glad they caught it and did the right thing, and they didn't do the calculus of, oh, well, if three people die, we'll make our money back on this. We don't have to call it just yet. And I'm not even saying that the wheel nuts don't loosen. I've had to re-torque the wheel nuts on both of my Chevy Volts and my Model X. My Model S didn't need it for whatever reason, despite the fact I drove that thing like crazy.
Hmm.
Maybe because it has less power than the Model X. I don't know. My
Mhm.
Model S 90D was the standard edition. My Model X is the P100D. So maybe there's just
Huh.
less to it, and it was lighter. It was 1,000 pounds lighter. So
So yeah, so maybe they didn't do the calculus on that, but I would suspect they did the calculus on how many of these they need to sell in order to decrease the number of credits they need to buy from Tesla.
right, and I think that's exactly why they
That's
even bothered getting into it. Yeah,
right. That's where the calculus comes in. But
and that's
yeah,
also
that's
why I think. Go ahead.
no, no. just gonna say that sucks, and we keep
It
saying
does.
we're waiting for the OEMs, for the big OEMs to get into it, and they're gonna catch Tesla, but they got to keep their wheels on.
Hmm. And make sales.
Right.
So that was also my argument for why everybody else is raising prices, because their costs are going up. My
Mhm.
argument for why GM is lowering costs, even though it's costing them more to make the car,
Mhm.
is that the amount of money they lose in pollution costs versus the amount of the discount, they're still making
Okay.
money if they sell the car.
Okay. All right. So really, that's a good point. You're saying so,
Yeah.
yeah. So if we just sell an EV, then we're going to have to spend less on regulatory credits,
Right. Right. So if we
no
gotta
matter
spend
how
10,000
much
on
money right, we're
right, if
losing
we
on each EV.
right, if we gotta spend 10,000 on credits and we drop the car by 5,000, then we've saved 5,000. We've made
Right.
5,000 actually, even though we sold
Right.
the car at a
Right.
loss.
So,
And
and we
that's
can
why I
get
say
10 people.
Mary led,
Right.
because she can do math.
And they're right, yeah, because people are going to look at a Tesla. The cheapest one is what, like 45,000 now, or even more, 49. I don't even know for the cheapest
Way up there.
Model 3.
Hmm.
And then you're still waiting almost a year for it, where you can
Hmm.
get a Bolt for the 30s, and get it sooner. So yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
they'll sell some of them.
And if you don't need to be very big,
Right.
there you go.
And this is what isn't this the bigger one that they're doing it on, or I just
They
said
dropped all the
still.
prices.
Wow, yeah.
Well, all the Bolt prices. I don't think they dropped that 100,000 plus on the Hummer, nor did
No.
they haven't even started selling the Silverado yet, so
Right,
that one
right.
doesn't count either.
And also they're making it up. All they got to do is raise the price of the gas truck, whatever their highest Silverado is, by $5,000, and it's not a
Right.
problem.
That's
And
a double
people are
profit.
right. People are still lining up to buy those things.
I heard about a guy who spent 75,000 on a Kia Telluride. That car is, I think, MSRP'd at 55,
For a
fully loaded.
Telluride,
Yes, I mean it's nice, but it's not 75,000 nice.
75 for a Telluride.
Mm.
No, you just get a Model Y. It's just,
If you can find one. I
well,
mean, his
yeah.
previous car blew up. That's why he did
Okay. Well, I guess you need something now. But yeah.
it.
But I mean, just price wise, that was one of the things. I mean, I saw a lot of the Palisades and the Tellurides all over the place. I'm like, well, I can see why they would want that over the Y. The Y was so much more expensive and
Yeah,
a little bit smaller. But
right.
if you're talking about 75, geez,
I would be in the camp with that Uber driver. Hey, I need to save on fuel. This is the
right.
same price car.
I think this,
Where do I get in line, Mr. Musk?
right. I'm not trying to go get an oil change.
Right, and then the rep would point you at the app, and I could have done this from home.
Hey, some of us are old school.
I mean, I went into the showroom a lot of times, and
Yes.
they can still find you stuff that you cannot find on the app or the website. So there is a reason they are there.
They
You
are,
just don't need them
yeah.
for a new car.
No, no. All right, but yeah. So if there's some dealer inventory, they were very helpful with that.
Mhm.
And I was still my first purchase. I'm still coming from, dealership, so I'm just used to going in, and they would
Yes,
go in, and they would. I can tell in their intonation that, oh, sure, I can help you with this, but you can do this on the app. I'll help you with this, but you can do this at home. I'll help you
like
with
hey,
this.
well, especially the ones at the mall. It's like, hey, my wife's across the street looking at handbags. I'm gonna look at cars.
Right, exactly.
Those ones seem to have more understanding of why you're in their face than the ones
Right.
at the standalone freestanding places. They're like, are you in service? Why are you here? Do you have an appointment scheduled for a test drive? Why
No,
are you
just
gracing my doorway?
why did you drive out of the way to
Right,
come here?
right. Would you like to go on a test drive? Shoot, I don't know you from Adam, but let's go. Let's
Right.
get you an $150,000 car. Let's go.
Exactly.
You're here. You must be here for a reason. So Zach says that I'm driving my friend's Model X Plaid for the next 2 weeks, as he left it with me in Chicago. And this is an elegant car, and it's an absolute monster. Performance is scary. Absolutely, I agree. I can't wait to try out the Model X Plaid myself. I probably shouldn't though,
Wait,
because
he left it with him and Chicago? So
in
he's
Chicago,
he's in
yeah,
Chicago with the car? Oh my
either he's in
goodness.
Chicago with the car, or the friend went to Chicago and he's got the car.
That's a great combination right there.
Right. Dan says the Firestone thing. Yeah, Firestone did do that. In fact, they made it part of the plot of Fight Club, didn't they? Both the book and the
Oh
movie.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was his job. The insurance. Was he the
He's like an
inspector, or was he
actuary.
the? Yeah, he was the actuary. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was his job. So yeah, so that's what I was saying earlier about the wheels falling off, and somehow it didn't make it into my notes. The recall comes. Oh, okay. So it's only in Japan, and only a lease option in Japan. How serious are you if you won't sell me the car? All these compliance cars are lease only. You bring them back and you crush them. You don't even resell them.
Yeah.
So I
Gotta
don't
get those
think that
crushers going.
I don't think Toyota's serious about this. And so
No.
they have all these recalls. So the recalls in the U.S. and the Europe and Canada, all them, are they dealer demos, or are they the first ones that are going on sale and they've been recalled before they hit the streets?
So this is where all those batteries are going that I see on Facebook when they say we're going to have the mounds of EV batteries in the scrap heaps. It's the OEMs crushing their own cars.
But
If you
even
sell
them,
them to
like,
me, you'll never see my battery. I'm gonna drive
right?
this car forever.
Exactly. But even them, like Toyota was one of the first ones with a in-house battery recycling program. The
Mhm.
very first Prius, the Gen 1, only sold in Japan. It didn't even see outside the light of day. From the minute that one hit the street, they had a recycling program.
Mhm.
And there was always been a bounty on your Toyota the Toyota Prius battery,
Mhm.
so that you could, they didn't want them to be in the landfill, and those were just nickel metal hydride.
Mhm.
The first Roadster had a recycling program opened up before the thing even hit the street, because when they were learning how to build cars, so there was a lot of scrap, and they would recycle them.
Right.
And they just continued. And in fact, now they still have that program, but now they're working with partners, and they also have their own internal recycling program as well.
Mhm.
That's where JB went. What do they
Right.
call it?
Redwood. Redwood.
Redwood. Yeah,
Redwood.
yeah, Redwood. Yeah. So that's enough of me pooping on Toyota, the company. Let's move on. One of my favorite parts of this program. We've got a crash test. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 earns top Safety Pick Plus crash test honors. Yet another in the pro column for Hyundai's stylish new EV. So that's again
Uh,
what I'm saying about the EV6, the Hyundai EV6, not the Kia
so the
EV6.
Ioniq 5 was the one that I was thinking about when I said it looked like my first car, the Omni.
Oh, I got you.
I can't see these numbers, these six, and I don't know what's going on
Right.
here.
So the Ioniq 6 is to me, looks to me from this picture and the footprint and everything, looks like it's going to be the coupe sedan version of this, whereas this
Mhm.
is the hatchback.
Okay.
And the Kia EV6 is this, but with rounded panels. And then the Genesis GV60 is this with rounded panels as well, but even still different headlights from the Kia.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could probably apply most, if not all, of this crash test we're about to look at to those other cars, if you happen to have one of those, or be looking at that instead. So we got a couple videos. Let's take a look. This is what we do. Oh, they didn't have music this time. Let's see. All right, so that's a small offset. The door skin came out a little bit, but it doesn't look like the door popped open at all. It didn't do that thing like the first Nissan Leaf where your head could fit through the trim. Oh no, it's a lot, but it still passes. All right. Minimal contact. He stays on the pads. He doesn't go in between them like we've seen on some vehicles. Airbag breaks the window as usual. This wheel didn't fall off. That's nice. Sometimes that wheel falls off. All right, where's this? What are we seeing? Open sky. All right then. Moving on. All right, this is moderate overlap, so this is a normal crash. The small left side is one of the hardest ones to pass. So here we see the door should not open at all. Perfect. Yes. All right, it's spinning. All right. I would feel comfortable with that. Let's look and see how it does on the inside and the top. Yes. That was well controlled. minimal intrusion into the hood area. I think they have a frunk on there. I think they have a small frunk on there.
Hmm.
It didn't get too much air. Kind of controls itself when it lands. More open sky. All right, now let's see the side impact. Oh, you know who started doing music? Europe and the other crash test agencies. So that's why it's not on this, which is fine. Oof. That's an SUV hitting you in the door, and it's an SUV itself, even though it doesn't look it in the pictures. All right, they could use one of those bags in between the passenger and the driver. Not saying it's necessary, but that would make me feel comfortable as a consumer. And the rear passenger did all right. You wouldn't want anybody in that third seat in the middle, though. But how often is there somebody there? Okay, so yeah, I like what we saw there from the IHS. It got a top safety pick plus, which means that it handled it well. All the forces were correct. The headlights are good, and they were comfortable with it. See if there are any comments on this thing.
Actually, a lot if you have 3 children.
Yes. All right, so this one is coming from Robert William. Accessories for mud flaps and more. What's that regarding? Is that about the Hyundai or the Toyota or? Sorry, we went so fast before I saw the comment. That's my fault on that one. So fast or so long, I should say, without me looking at the comments. All right, so this one came from Robert William, and he sent me another one about yet another electric personal aircraft, and I was pointing out that I am frightened about all the people who can't keep track of their car's maintenance right now, letting them get up in the air. And then on top of that, all the noise from, like, there's no way you can do air travel quietly with today's tech. So if you let all these people have personal drones, noise pollution is going to go through the roof. Assuming they can even keep them in the air, because, like I said, they don't do their maintenance. But if you don't let them manually control, they shouldn't be running into each other, so that part will help. But if they hit a goose or a bat or something that damages the propeller or a body panel or something, you can totally see them just, this is fixed tomorrow. I got to get to work now. And then you're flying along or you're walking along and just water your grass, or not that I water grass because that's wasteful. You're out and about minding your own daggum business, and all of a sudden a fender falls on you. No. So anyway, this one was not that, and that's why I chose to share it, because I'm not freaked out by this. Although I do have my concerns that it's a hydrogen vehicle. And it's not a hydrogen like a what was the Hindenburg called? Not a blimp. What are they called? Yeah. Was there another name for it?
Blimp.
No, blimp is oh yeah, it would be dirigible because blimp means it doesn't have an internal structure, and it did. Anyway, so it's not like the Hindenburg where they're filling it with hydrogen, is my understanding. It's just hydrogen powered. But if you take this and you get rid of that useless hydrogen powertrain and put in some EV stuff, it's a good idea. So it's going to be hydrogen and helium is what I gathered. I didn't read the article because it was like right before we went air. So let's look at it together. Leading zero-emission aviation Zero Avia to optimize fuel cell-powered electric propulsion systems for Otto's novel electric aircraft design. So they are making their first airframe with a hydrogen electric engine option. So just get rid of that hydrogen and put in some lithium. Good to go. Let's see if there's any music in this thing. Probably. Yep. All right, so they're at an airport. Are they going to talk, or is it more music? All right, so let's see. So the test vehicle looks like. Does he talk? Nope. All right, so it's not even a blimp. It's just like a stubby plane. A very stubby plane.
Right. A fat sucker there.
Yeah.
You sure it's not full of hydrogen?
I was hoping it was full of hydrogen, but now it looks like it's a plane. Because like if it was a helium blimp, or rigid blimp and hydrogen fuel cell powered, and he just put electric. That would have been cool. I don't think they're ever going to do another hydrogen lift vehicle again, just because the Hindenburg ruined that for everybody. All right, so
But
up to
I was just gonna say, I mean, but I saw hydrogen as the future for air travel.
don't forget
To get
batteries
off
get
of.
7% better year after year.
All right. I mean, it's so do the math on that. How long until we have enough of battery to bring a 777 across the Atlantic?
I don't know about 777, but we had electric airplanes 2 years ago.
All right.
Commercial. We're talking like you buy a ticket. They were the seaplanes up in Alaska and Canada, and then there's the proposal to bring them from DC to New York, and we will see what's next because, as I said, they're getting better every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a while
It-
before we're flying planes on 4680s.
Right. It is easier logistically to get hydrogen to airports than it is to get it at every place somebody would want to stop around the world to drive their automobile. But there's a couple training aircraft in Europe right now, and the guy was talking about how difficult it was to find airports with the proper electrical service that they could put the charger in, because he's actually using a DC CHAdeMO charger, and because he's basically just got Nissan Leaf batteries in the plane, and and so all the airports are they only offer, not all the airports, but all the airports that he's been talking to, most of them only have single phase power, 240 single phase. He needs 240 three phase.
Three phase, right? Okay.
Yes, and so that's what he's been running into.
Well, then stick some hydrogen in that plane.
It's a lot easier to get an electrician out there than it is to set up a hydrogen tank and a fueling network and a.
All right.
But as he switches to CCS or something, I bet you it'd be a lot easier to get done.
Well, good point. And I guess the last time I was on, we talked a little bit about hydrogen and how the tanks have to be resistant to the brittling of the hydrogen
Yep.
working its way through the container. And I would hate to be up in a plane flying around when my hydrogen's leaking out.
Why is your voice getting funny? Your voice is getting funny. Oh no! The mask come down for the top. The pilot goes in that steep dive. Actually, I don't think you
Open
could
the
use
windows.
that. You couldn't use the oxygen generator because the oxygen generator is combustion.
Yeah, that's not
And if
gonna work.
hydrogen's leaking, you don't want more combustion. How would they do the emergency generator on this plane? It would have to be
First
bottles
of
of
all,
oxygen.
No, you just roll the windows down and let
It's
the
only got 4
hydrogen get out.
windows.
Let the hydrogen out. No, this is when we're on the big plane.
Oh, okay. But on this one, you've only got 4 windows, and I don't see but one door. So yeah, so they couldn't do the mask from the top unless they were powered by bottles of oxygen, which means they could need even less time than the oxygen generator that pops down and you yank on it to get the combustion started, and you. Wow. So basically, that combustion generates oxygen instead of CO2. But it's still hot, and heat and ignition, and
Hydrogen, they don't mix.
I don't like hydrogen on a plane anymore. I like it in a car.
All right, fine.
Again, remember when I was talking about the clarity? Instead of a dome light up at the top between the driver, above the armrest, and between the driver, the passenger, and the back passengers, instead of the light, it had the same shape, but it was a hydrogen detector to make sure that the hydrogen wasn't leaking into the car.
Is there a sign in your Clarity that says no smoking in the car?
I would
Are
hope
you
so.
allowed to smoke in your Clarity?
All the Clarities I drove were not dealer demos, but were Honda demos. So I didn't get the new one. They were the FCX Clarities, the burgundy one. I got a video. I think we shared the video at one point. Yeah, so I'm not gonna bring it up again. But that was fun. And there was a no smoking sign in that one. But I think that was
But that was just because it was for the
owned.
dealer.
Yeah.
It's like, but is this the same for some privately owned cars? Like, well, you can buy this car, but never smoke in it.
Right. So I'm wondering. Now this plane has no windows. The door doesn't even have a window.
But this is an experimental plane, though. This is not like.
They said it holds 19 passengers.
Well, what the heck?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's why it's so
19
fat.
passengers.
It's for the people that all sit in there. What? How do they get in? That's what you were saying. There's no door.
Well, that one door. I mean, it's a smaller plane. I can see that, but do you have like
19
TV
pass.
screens? I mean, because Boeing was talking about how they have like LCD panels up on the walls and stuff in some of their
Mhm.
new and experimental planes. But is that what you're doing on
Yo,
private planes?
yeah, put little cameras on the outside, and everybody gets a little screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's more fuel efficient.
Or yeah, that would be.
Hmm.
Then you can zoom in if you when they say look to the
That's
right
true,
at such and such, you can just grab your little camera and zoom right
right?
into it.
And on the red eye, they can actually make there something to look at if you don't go to sleep.
Yes,
All
without
right,
shining on the light on me. I'm
exactly.
trying to sleep.
So here's one where I'm not going to be talking nice stuff about Hyundai and Kia. All right, so this is coming from Microsoft, courtesy of Inside EVs. I wonder if I click on this, I'll go straight to the article. I do. Okay, let's do that because I'd much rather let them get the click from me, even though I don't give them the full ad. Oh no, it just went to their homepage. Let me see if I can find it quick. It worked. My search term was rated. Copy. Well, let's look at the comments before I paste and go. I probably shouldn't because these Microsoft MSN comments are usually atrocious. Defeat and delete. Let those diesels breathe. All the controls is due to. So this is the guy who would have been a customer of the guy who started the show. Oh wow, full circle. Got the guy who went to jail for a year for the diesels.
Hmm.
To more emissions messery. Crowning achievement. Yeah, see, like I said, the MSN comments are usually trash. So let's go on back to Inside EVs. So Hyundai and Kia are rated. Authorities are searching for diesel defeat devices, according to authorities in Germany and South Korea. Or in Germany, this South Korean automaker may have sold over 200,000 fraudulent vehicles. Now, remember last time we were talking about uh, the defeat devices, the cheat devices, whatever you're going to call them, the scams. Uh, Volkswagen was just the one that got caught, and
Mhm.
that Daimler dimed on on Volkswagen and a couple others, and they got off the hook by naming and blaming, even though they were doing it too.
Wow.
And we said that wasn't it either. We told you this is not going to be the end of it. It's probably everybody, but so far you've had the people that Daimler named. You had Volkswagen. Volkswagen was the worst, and now Hyundai and Kia. And we talked about Ford. I don't think that Ford necessarily was doing a defeat device that we know of, but we know that Ford was doing that crap where they were really stretching the limits of the fuel economy tests. So the Ford C-Max hybrid was using the numbers from the Ford Fusion hybrid, and even that car was getting the door seams taped up. Like, you couldn't even NASCAR yourself into the window and tape up your seams on your own window. So yeah, every customer is doing this before they go on their drive to work. Yeah. So that's what
Wow.
Ford got caught doing. But it was legal, so they just got a slap on the wrist. Please don't take it to that extreme anymore. And by the way, we're no longer allowing you to substitute completely different aerodynamic cars for each other. But this is more like the Dieselgate, is what they're alleging here. So Stephen Loveday is saying, according to information published on multiple news sources, German authorities have raided Hyundai and Kia based on suspicions related to emissions fraud. More specifically, the South Korean automakers are suspected of using illegal diesel defeat devices and or software. Oh, they're lucky they don't sell diesel over here, isn't it? Reports claim that 8 of Hyundai and Kia's properties in Germany and Luxembourg were searched by 140 authorities. Oh, man. Can you imagine you think you're going home for work and then now you got to stay and supervise the police don't break and steal stuff? You can get the hand receipts for the stuff they do take.
How are they finding all these evil software programmers? Well, you got German companies that can't even get enough software programmers to get their cars on the market. But there's evil ones that are making defeat device software.
I wonder if they knew what they were doing, or if it was higher up. Like, hey, I need you to program a device that does this. Here are the parameters, and you don't know what the parameters should be.
All right.
No, because at the same time, it knows you're running the test. So unless you made somebody else whose job it was to detect you running a test, and somebody else's job is to change the parameters, somebody else that everybody would know what you're doing.
guess.
You're right. Where do they find all these unscrupulous programmers?
Right. Money buys anything.
This is true. I wonder how much they get paid off, and if they suffer any consequence, or if it's just like Germany, Volkswagen, where it's just the top.
hmm
So the raids were organized by the EU via an agency called Eurojust. The German authorities have reason to believe that the two named automakers illegally sold over 210,000 diesel cars. The suspected software and/or diesel defeat devices are said to have been deployed by Bosch, as well as Delphi, which is now owned by Borg Warner. Everybody uses Bosch, Delphi, and Borg Warner. This is going to be even bigger than what we already know about.
It's getting big.
Based on the information gleaned from the prosecutors, the cars were sold up until 2020. The people weren't in the office to cover it up.
But this was clean diesel.
We needed to come back in the office to cover up this stuff, the shenanigans we're up to.
It's crazy.
Right. It's not about you being lazy slobs, as Elon says, or about company morale, as that one bad middle manager says. No, it's for you to hide our stuff. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
Oh no! Just the whole idea. It's about clean diesel. It's all
Clean diesel. Clean diesel.
You're burning something. There's no such thing as burn and clean. It does not work.
They don't go together. Wow. So up until 2020, software would massively decrease or turn off emissions reduction controls while the cars are being driven, same as Volkswagen and others. Owners of the cars were allegedly misled about the emissions controls and made to believe the cars complied. Yeah, I mean, because it says it right there on the paper. Hey, it complies with XYZ, gets this, it's a clean car. I mean, there were people who bought these things thinking that, oh yeah, I've got a clean diesel. I don't need to get an EV yet because I can't afford it. I don't have $140,000 for a Tesla Roadster, and I need 3 people, not 2. I don't want no stinking Prius because it's slow. Blah blah blah. I got a diesel. I'm good. And then, nah.
You're driving around killing people, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, plus the monkeys. Remember they killed the monkeys. That comes up every time. They tested diesel on monkeys apparently at Volkswagen.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's no good.
Not good. The automaker has
forget the name of the So there was Electrify America, because from the Dieselgate there were 2
America.
companies. There's Electrify America within us.
Electrify Canada.
Oh, I didn't know Canada had one. There's one in
Electrify
Europe.
America and Canada. The one in Europe, I don't know what they're called, but yeah, same thing.
Right,
different name.
I keep forgetting the European name one.
Yeah.
So I mean, my concern with those is that, I mean, once the money runs out, then what's going to happen to those companies? But I mean, I think what you're pointing out to me is that the money is never going to run out.
Right.
There's so many companies they can sue to get more money to keep supporting this, where they could just make these companies free. Electrify America, you just charge for free.
Pretty much. All right, so they couldn't. They let's see, what did they say? They did reach out to Hyundai spokesperson has confirmed the raids, and admitted the company is cooperating. Well, what else are they going to do? However, the automaker didn't provide any further details. Yes. That's not how you say milk. Are you signing milk? You know the sign language. Sign milk. Are you pooping? You might be pooping on me. Here.
Why not?
She'll never confirm that she wants milk. She will confirm that she wants a fresh diaper.
Is that with a sign or with a smell?
No, she'll say, like, you'll ask her, you want to change diapers? She'll cry again, and she'll say, so do you want me to change your diapers? She'll say,
That's the same. It's the same face I make when I'm done. What are you talking about?
So as the authorities carried out the raid, they're also investigating various employees at Kia, Hyundai, and Borg Warner. And according to a number of reports, and representatives from the companies have not yet responded to requests for comments. This is a developing story. Yeah, if the raid is active, then it's better be developing. If you finished it, then you have missed the end.
It's tough. I mean, these things,
Yeah.
especially Germany, where what's there like 17% of their economy is their automobile industry.
Yeah.
You can't do anything more to them besides slap them on the wrist. They're not gonna they're not gonna go after the big CEOs. They're not gonna go after the companies and put millions of people out of work because you're
Right.
making poison delivery systems.
Right. And the only reason they're tagging Tesla so hard is just because they are softening the demand for the local stuff.
Right.
But I think that now that Tesla's open, that we're going to find that they target them even less than they used to, because now they're open and now they've got German jobs going on
Right.
versus opening and potentially taking jobs from Mercedes and everybody else. But
Right. It's all political in that sense. But now they can say, all right, fine, go work for Tesla.
yep.
We have one here.
Probably the same that we look at though, like a Toyota or Honda or Nissan. Like it's not an American car, but it was built in America.
Mhm.
We don't treat them the same, so it's probably the same over there.
Yeah.
All right, Suzuki was also recently rated for. Oh, see, look what I'm talking about. Everybody. It's confirmed a severe blow to Hyundai and Kia will hamper their electric sales. Yeah, same thing we saw with Volkswagen. There are people who will not buy. Like I said, the Volkswagen ID4 is the Camry of EVs. There are people who will not buy it because of Dieselgate and because of the monkeys. I don't think the monkeys were the same situation, but between the two of those, they won't even look at it. Others are even further stalwarts. They won't look at it because of their past and where Volkswagen got started. Back in World War II.
I would argue that's probably a pretty small minority of
Yeah,
people.
it's pretty small, but I do hear it still.
I mean, I knew about it, had concerns with it, but I still bought 2 BMWs.
Right. You're cheating, lying, do anything for a buck for the auto industry. Yes, I'm doing a real hard scratcher. Yeah, it's true. I'll try and squeeze as much profit in as possible, which runs everybody's health before transitioning to electric. Yes. Half of their diesel sales worse. Don't care about diesel cheating if they don't make a diesel. That's not true. That's not true. There are a lot of people who sold their gas Volkswagens, and or at least when they traded, they didn't get another Volkswagen because even though they were only gas customers because of Dieselgate. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we're gonna have more public charging stations. Ionity?
Ionity. Yeah, it is.
Ionicky?
Close enough.
Yeah. Boy. You forgot to add Ford to the list. Their diesels are behind the competition. Oh, maybe. All right, that's enough of them. Let me make sure I don't have any more articles sitting on top here. All right, so I put in a request to BrightDrop to figure out how much one of those cars will cost me, and I don't think I'm actually going to do it, but I would like to know if it's even possible. All right, then I've got a. Okay, no, that is politics. See, this thing has restarted since I started opening articles, and they've moved around. So I'm probably going to close all this and then find some and be like, darn it. Apparently I have 2 melons open. How's that possible? Because usually if I have more than one melon open, I have more than one copy of myself on the screen. I think that's good for today. Anybody else in the chat have anything to say? Robert says a blimp airship. Airship was the other word we were looking for, I guess.
Okay.
And reasons for going to the dealer. Oh, okay, yeah. Reasons for going to dealers to get fleeced. Accessories for mud flaps and more. This is true. Because like any accessories you want, like that you truly want to go seek out, you can get them dropped off at your house from a courier. Yep. There we go. So with that, I want to thank you for coming through. We'll catch you on the flip side. Also, thank you to Zachary and all of our channel members and patrons again for the continued support. It helps make all of this go a lot smoother. And catch you on the flip side.